Zuckerberg gonna be the dude that like changed the world.
Oh, good God, y'all so ready to give these millionaires
No billionaires.
these
Get
titles.
them numbers right.
Billionaires
Whatever.
and,
Trillionaires.
more importantly, inventors.
Him and Bill Gates.
IBNX Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome to this Monday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice, and my correspondents.
Double-R.
And Simone Sheree.
All right, so today there is a lot. Well, it's not even a lot. Like there's stuff going on. I don't know if I would say it's a lot of stuff going on, but it's I don't know. So how would
The
you
usual
describe it?
mess. The usual mess that there's been more developments on. And then I think lots of different stories that lots of the officials are getting into. So some of the same themes that we've been seeing about diversity, about debt, about technology that were kind of issues before. Now there's actually like things being pushed. There's legislation being pushed, speeches that have been made. So I think people are actually starting to make moves on all the things we've been talking about. So this is the time to kind of see like who's sleeping and who's really, really paying attention. This is, I think, when things fly under the radar and kind of get done in Washington. So.
I mean, I suppose so. So, all right. So, what do we have on the rundown?
So we're going to talk a little bit more about the shutdown because this is like an ever-continuing event. Right. This is probably the longest shutdown, not only that we've had, but where there's been no progress. So normally, and we've talked about the last longest shutdown, which was in 2013, and even when we've had government shutdowns before under the Obama administration, usually there's piecemeal progress, and this is just the first time that there's not been an inch that's moved. But there was polling that came out over the weekend that I think will be interesting to review to see how Democrats are viewing this, Democratic voters, and Republicans are viewing this. A couple more developments too around 2020, which 2020 campaign season is definitely here. It started last year. People have officially announced. Other people are still in their exploratory committee phase. We can talk about that a little bit more too. Internationally, there's some news there as well, and then I think there's also a little bit of news we can talk around entertainment and music. So it'll be a fun day, just heavy. So we gotta try to break it up a little bit.
All right. So let's start with.
We can start with a lot now.
I know. I don't even know what
Come
it's supposed
on.
to start
Right, we
with.
can even start with the shutdown. I
All right. Yeah.
guess.
Let's start. So where do we stand with the shutdown?
So we still stand at around 800,000 federal employees that are unpaid, which was about where we were on Friday. The difference now is that back pay, which was kind of a presumed given, is not necessarily guaranteed at this point. We just haven't heard that cemented. And technically speaking, or legally speaking, back pay does not have to be provided for this time period. So the difference is for essential federal workers like law enforcement officers, federal law enforcement agents, et cetera, there will be back pay. For non-essential workers, there isn't necessarily. So we hope that there will be. Financially, the funds could be there. President Trump talked about using the DOJ's unappropriated funds, the Department of Justice, to kind of piecemeal pay people who have not been paid yet. The Department of Justice, of course, was not interested in tapping into their budget to do anything like that or to even promise anything like that. So now it's just kind of a question of, okay, well, who can afford to go a few weeks without pay? Ben Shapiro, I don't know if you listen to his show.
No.
He's a conservative commentator.
Ben Shapiro is like,
Yeah.
he should run for president, for real.
Okay.
I mean, at this point, anybody can run for president. This
No,
point.
he could.
No,
He's
I
sharp.
think he's very interesting. I think he makes a lot of good points. He's super young, so for him to be that young and to know where he at with it already, he's one of those guys. Like I listen to him. He has some stances that I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand. Just he has some stances that he takes because of religious views, but I get it. I understand, like most people that are fairly religious, they have some views that everybody don't agree with. But when it comes to like policy and making sense, he makes a lot of sense.
I think he does, but he is conservative, like you said. So the thing that he brought up, he made a kind of cavalier comment on his podcast on Friday to me, which was that, listen, there will be back pay for any amount of time that people were not paid so far. They will be able to get like a back paycheck. And so in my mind, I just immediately kind of felt like, well, that's kind of a cavalier comment to make because not everybody can afford to wait for back pay. Your bill collectors don't care about when you're going to be paid or when you're going to have the money to pay the bill. They just want it paid. If you're renting, your landlord doesn't care that you may have the money at some point. They want it now. So I kind of felt like that perspective that, we'll be able to fill in these blanks, assuming this comes to a wrap soon, is just kind of like, we need to take a little bit more seriously than that, because clearly people can't go on a day-to-day basis, charging credit to grocery stores and things like that.
Yeah, but
It doesn't
he
work.
said it a couple years ago because somebody asked him. He was doing like one of those tours that he do, and somebody asked him like why he didn't run for public office, and he said because they don't make enough money. Like he's always had the stance like being a government official means that, or working for the government, or in whatever you're doing for the government, it wouldn't make sense, especially like for people with real families. If you're not like an official, like if you don't hold a position where your checks are guaranteed, but you work for the government, when the government shut down or they say, you know what, well, we ain't cut no checks this week, you're in that group. And this is about to be like one of those unemployment things where they was denying mad people unemployment for months and then just sent everybody a check. I don't think that like America got it like that, where you got that many people out of work.
Right. And some people can't file for unemployment. There was two different people who were on, two different federal workers were interviewed on CNN this morning during New Day. And one was, I guess, considered more of an essential federal employee. He's a member of law enforcement. He was an investigator. But that's essentially what he said, that they cannot file for unemployment. Another woman who was considered a non-essential employee, they are not allowed to work. Even if they do want to work right now and just accrue some back pay, they're not allowed to. So the budget isn't there for a lot of these departments for them to even say, okay, we'll go ahead and work and we'll get you later. So it's that tight. What's kind of, I think, the most frustrating or the most interesting, I should say, I guess, is kind of a neutral term, is that neither side in this case really has a very clear enemy. So I think if on the Democratic side, there was a polling that came out this morning on the Hill that said that 67% of registered Democrats agree very strongly that a wall is not necessary and that Donald Trump is responsible for the shutdown. On the inverse side, not the Weekly Standard, the National Review published a poll that said that Republicans or conservative voters believe that the wall is well within the means of the federal budget. So basically the wall is 0.1% of gross domestic product, which is a small statistical number, 5.7 billion, which kind of paints the picture that, okay, if you're conservative or Republican, you kind of believe that Democrats are just being stubborn. So on both sides, the other believes that, you know what, you just need to get rid of your wall, throw that idea out the door, and just let us continue with the government. The other side believes that, listen, just give us the wall and stop trying to stifle national security, and then we can let people back to work. So
I guess the whole thing makes me nervous because I'm just like, I think there was an article that I read that somebody got through TSA with a gun or something like that and got on a plane or got off a plane with a gun. I'm just like, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Like, I feel like once people wake up and go, you know what? Wait. The opportunity to take America down is actually open now. Like, my fears is some people, the crazy people are going to wake up and realize that we are vulnerable. And
Right.
once they do,
Right.
like what really happens? We're fussing about a wall,
This is
and
what
we're
happens.
leaving our TSA, our airports, pretty much defenseless at this point.
What I be wanting to remember the name of this movie. I know it got red something in it, but it's the movie where Korea took over America. This is exactly what happened. It was a government shutdown, and then all of a sudden, like mad planes was just in the air, and didn't nobody know what happened. Like it was like, yo, where all these planes? Well, if nobody is at work,
Right. So, and they've been trying to, I'm not going to say bribe, but it is kind of a bribe. So about TSA is trying to incentivize workers to return, which is why Miami International Airport has reopened that terminal that they closed because people weren't showing up for work. They've offered $500 bonuses for people to come to work. I don't know when they're going to pay that bonus.
I'm about to say, where is the money coming from?
But
It's the airport.
as opposed to just saying, okay, we'll give you back pay if you just come, they're also saying like, well, we'll give you a bonus if you come.
yeah, I
Which is
seen
just
like
like-
people
and
offering
it's not
like
a
time
bribe.
and a half,
Right.
And like
Right.
no,
Because we can't pay you now, but I don't know when that money's coming.
yeah.
I mean, it's the ideology behind this is so ludicrous to me. I'm like, I cannot fathom the day that we're in right now, where you work for government and are not getting paid from the government. Like
And
I
I was-
said it last week, I'm like,
Yeah.
that was the one place you were always safe. If you couldn't, it was always said that in my day it was either you worked in a warehouse or you worked for the government because you knew if all else went to hell, you always had the government to depend on, and at that time you always had factories and stuff to depend on. We're in a day where you can't depend on the government to give you a check.
Yeah,
Right.
but you can depend on the government to give you a job. And I think that, like, objectively speaking, and it's just like when you study like how old a lot of these because it's not a new tactic. Like when the president want to get something done, like it'll eventually shut down. Like, hold on, all right, well, we're gonna take a break. Let's get it done. It'll happen. This is different though. Like this, I can't. I was looking all weekend. Like, when was the last time that we ever? It's close
never
to
been
a
this
month.
firm. Yeah.
We're going towards a month.
Over
of
a
go-
And the
wall.
last one cost $24 billion, the last shutdown. The one in 2013 that was rivaling this length. It was $24 billion. So another thing that I think we should kind of consider too, just politically, I'm trying to put myself like in Trump's position.
Oh, this
Which
ought to be
is-
interesting.
Which is that he's just feeling like, you know what, I made this promise. This promise needs to come to fruition. Ann Coulter, who's was a huge Trump supporter, a big conservative activist, and even people who are ardent Trump supporters are really, really wanting this wall. And I'm thinking, okay, if you're President Donald Trump, you have no real Republican opposition for 2020. You have, a very strong base in the White House, and really everyone who was working in the White House who didn't like you for whatever reason is fired or gone. You pretty much are running your own domain right now. Why the rush for right now? Like, why not wait? Like, it's tough because now there's a Democratic majority in the House. When it was all Republican majority, you probably had a better shot at this wall. Now the Democrats don't want this wall. So in the last 2 years, you definitely could have probably taken this a little bit further and at least got your fence or your whatever. But now that you have Democrats in the minority, it's going to be very hard. So maybe you should just change up the rhetoric and change up the timeline and refresh your agenda and just tell your base, like, okay, 2020, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to campaign really hard. I'm going to get as many Republicans elected as possible. And in 2020, we'll do the wall. But just tell people to wait a little bit. I mean, maybe that's your move because Democrats don't have the same political pull. Democrats can't say, we'll make sure this wall does not. I mean, they don't have the same power, I don't think. Or the same cards.
They also don't have the same timeline. I told y'all last week, it took 10 years to build the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal ain't even almost half the length of what they talking about. You talking about over 200 miles of wall. Panama Canal maybe like 80 miles. I don't remember the number, but it's not 200. And this, we talking about like a bridge that connect like a country to another country.
Right.
This is a wall to separate Mexico, a country, from like a whole nother country. It don't make sense, but he's going to stay on it because the length of time that it'll take to build a wall that big, I can't wait until 2020. It don't matter how
it'll
much
take a long- yeah.
technology has grown. You still have to hire people to do that job.
Yeah, but I guess my concern is, are people really willing, is his base really willing to forego paychecks, childcare, just all the stuff that goes with government funding and stuff to get a wall built? Is it really that serious? That's the part that's really starting to scare me.
Yes.
When you are willing to not pay your rent,
Yes.
not pay your utilities, not pay your car note, to
Yes.
see a wall go up to keep out these imaginary.
Yes. Yes. He had voters that didn't have lights, but
Oh, my God.
they agree with that. I agree with Donald Trump. Get those blacks out of come on now. When you start seeing pop-up videos on, like, that's why I hate social media, because it will I hate social media, but I like the time that we're in. Like, I want to know where you at with it. Like, it's cool when we didn't know where you was at with it and we eventually found out. Now we know where you at with it. All right, let me know where you at with it, so I'll know how to maneuver in these streets. And now we're starting to see, like, the poorest of the poor people that were white voted for him. No lights, no car. I sleep in the car, but I'm gonna go vote for Trump because he represent me.
Yeah.
I think that those same people are like, well, if he wants a wall, well, he should get a wall.
I think so too. And,
To the point.
and he's trying to
Yes.
fund the appropriations for it. Like, he's considered declaring a state of emergency.
Yes, which we didn't get into last time.
Yeah, because that would be an option for him if he feels like he can't get it appropriated. I think I mentioned the Department of Justice. He's trying to get the funds from there. Also, every day the government is shut down, it does save money technically because we're not paying all these people. So if the math can add up over the days that we are not paying 800,000 people and we decide to put money towards a wall, that money may be there as well.
That's cool,
So then
but
it's
you
just a
gotta
question
give
about
that
the
money
political
back.
votes.
You got to get that money back plus interest.
You would hope, but
All this to keep out some imaginary terrorists? I'm sorry, I cannot wrap my head around this. The fact that the government is shut down over a wall. Like I said, and in my head, I keep seeing the Great Wall of China. Over a wall to keep out invisible terrorists. Meanwhile, we leave everything else open. The airports are open. We were already having a problem with safety as it is. Like, we can't even go to church now and feel safe.
But that's the problem. Like, are you trying to keep the terrorists out? Or are you trying to keep them in? Ain't nobody attacked Texas. The last time we seen something crazy in Texas was that dude that came back home with PTSD and started shooting cops.
That was Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
That
going
was
to say,
Dallas.
and the homegrown terrorism, that's a big part of all these major incidents we've heard about, whether it's of the shooting in the bar in California or the Vegas situation or the Orlando situation. All those were, citizens.
These dudes
or
they be here.
Yeah, so
The last time we seen, like, foreign terrorism that people assume was foreign terrorism was 9/11. And then before that, 1992. Like, it's always been instances where you be like, oh no, he can't. Or the bomb situation where did nobody know where they was coming from, but they popped up at mad people's house. Come on, bro. I can't believe you. All this stuff is starting to look like a TV show.
It feels
It
like one
looked
too.
like it's highly, like, it's one of those produced shows where you get so interested in it because you don't know what's gonna happen, but like you know what's gonna happen, but you watch anyway. This it's starting to look like Love and Hip Hop for real. That's what this whole thing. He want to fight with everybody, but he want to be like the big dog. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna cuss out the House and I'm gonna cuss out the Senate. But like I got friends in the House and friends in the Senate, but I want us to all be friends. But my friends don't like each other. But I want them like that's what it's starting to look real like TV-ish, and there is no solution. We assume like, man, a year and a half, we got to get this guy out of here. That was it. He got going on 3 years.
You hope.
3 years, and he been talking about this wall the whole time. Yo, we're gonna get this wall. Somebody gonna pay for it, bro. You got $1 billion, so you say you pay for it.
I mean, he did the GoFundMe. I think he raised like millions.
He raised $29 million in 2 days, and GoFundMe sent all the money back to the people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they shut down the account. They shut down the
GoFundMe has had
account.
to shut down a lot of accounts lately, actually. And this is kind of a quick aside note. When people just throw up GoFundMe pages and they end up being for things that are not specifically charitable or that are, that you can write off on your taxes, assuming our taxes get processed this year, GoFundMe can get in a lot of trouble. I want people to be more careful with GoFundMe, including the president.
But again, the
It's a
question
great
becomes,
operation, and I just see it diminishing.
you can't pay your bills, but you have money to put towards. I'm sorry, I just cannot get here.
But
I don't know how we got here.
I wish it was switched though. I wish that Congress were not getting paid and the federal workers could get paid. And if you added up all those low, they're calling them low-level contractors, which is I think kind of insulting. But if you added up all their salaries, they probably wouldn't equate, or they become pretty close to the $200K a year that Congress gets. I feel like in this little interim,
But you're
this
talking about
$200K probably
almost-
puts you in at least the 10 or 15%.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
swap those.
Wealth starts at $150,000.
Okay, well, yeah.
Poverty starts at $39,000. So after you pass $39,000, technically you're right at the poverty line. Most of those people, if you work if you work at TSA, more than likely you probably make between $11 to $17 an hour, depending on the airport, depending on what your position is. $11 to $17 an hour.
So like
I'll give you $20 an hour. You do that mathematics on them hours, like you think like your check busting. Not really. $800 a week, $1,600 every 2 weeks, $3,200 a month. And then you start doing the math, like, oh, you think you getting some money? No, cuz you like $37,000 a year. You're still under the poverty line. That's just for
Right.
TSA agents. But what about like the police? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, what about the detectives? What about I've yet to see a state patrol officer in the last 10 days. I haven't seen one. I was going
Isn't that
100
nerve-wracking?
miles to
I
get here
just-
today.
Now you
Ooh, he
said
just
that,
told
I'm
on
thinking about that.
himself.
I'm speeding. Y'all don't know what kind of car I got. I was going so fast today because I needed a nap. I seen 2 state patrol officers yesterday. They cut their lights on to run a light. You know how the police do. They ran the light, they U-turned, and they went the other way. I haven't seen them pull anybody over. I seen a cop this morning get mad because somebody got into an accident. He got out the car like this.
Do you think African American men are going to start approaching cops like, what's going on? You aren't following me. I haven't seen you in a while. Is everything
I doubt
okay?
If somebody does that, I need it recorded. I need
y'all
you to
gotta
tag
put
me
that
in
on
it.
camera.
You
That I
sound-
gotta see.
Double
The
R
first-
sounds concerned.
The
Like,
first thing you gonna hear, sir, get back in the vehicle. Sir.
Okay, that I would not advise. FYI, I would not advise anybody do that. We just kind of threw that out there. Nobody do that.
I'm wondering, like,
when are you gonna
all
get
these
pulled
people
over?
that's not getting paid, because it's like across the board. You talk almost 1 million people not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you remember a couple years ago when we said, man, 800,000 people are out of work. Oh my God, the unemployed, like, now we're looking like 800,000 people that work for the government are not working. We're talking about government jobs. We ain't talking about like people that can't get a job at McDonald's. Now you start seeing people that you know work at the courthouse. Like, dang, bro, when you start making that Burger King? But 2 weeks ago, but I need shit.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
Uber spikes. Like, I'm starting. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you start really looking at this thing and breaking it down, ask people that you know that work for the government if they do Uber or Lyft now.
Wow.
That
Once again, the market solves all problems.
That's what I'm saying. If you can bring in $1,000 a week doing Lyft and Uber, I ain't going back to work.
I don't think you'll give your government job just because you're doing
Hey,
that.
let me tell you something. I get paid every day doing Lyft and Uber. I don't. But I'm saying, if you can get paid every day doing Lyft and Uber, why are you going back to work? Lyft and Uber going to be guaranteed every day. Super Bowl coming to Atlanta.
Guaranteed?
Coming to Atlanta. The spike they talking about is $20 a ride. It don't matter where you going in the city. It's $20 a ride.
Yeah, but that traffic. Who really wants to get there and ride? in that
$20
traffic?
a ride. I don't care.
I was gonna say.
I don't
it's-
care
it's
where
a
you
headache
where you
anyway.
said you going. You going from this gate to the parking lot. $20.
So this kind of makes me think about something more. So this is all about the wall, right? And Democrats believe that there's a lot of moral reasons we should not build this wall between us and Mexico. So that's what makes Julian Castro's potential presidency so interesting to me. So he's Puerto Rican, by the way, but we after the Hurricane Maria situation, when we talked about how little Donald Trump allegedly did for Puerto Rico, how slow the response was, how minimal the response was, how cavalier his attitude was about the fact that everyone was out of electricity basically across an entire island, and what the disaster state was. I feel like this is also kind of interesting to see, okay, well, are we going to have a candidate that looks different again? Because usually the way that it works in presidential elections is that the country swings. We go from blue to red to blue to red to blue to red, pretty much have since the 50s and 60s. There's very, very rarely that the same party is going to hold office again. It just doesn't tend to happen. So even though Trump may have momentum in 2020, maybe he will, maybe he won't. In 2024, you would expect that we would have a Democratic president at minimum. So Julian Castro, I think, would be interesting for that reason because he would be the first Latino ever to hold that office, technically. So that's another first. We've had the first African American, then the first non-politician, to say the least, and then now we would have Julian Castro, who would be the first Latino. He had a quote come out about Puerto Rico, about how badly the president failed. He's obviously been very critical of the president. He has political experience, but he's relatively young.
Yeah, because he's only, all right, so he's 44.
Yeah.
He is from San Antonio, Texas, and he's a former Housing and Urban Development Secretary. So he's been, already he sounds like he has more experience than Trump, in my opinion.
Right.
So he's been in an aspect of government, and housing and urban development is a lot of, in my opinion, where a lot of the supplemental programs sit. So he probably has that experience with working with the everyday man. And he's 44 and he's Hispanic.
Yes.
So, I mean,
he's relatively young, and he's got that kind of, he's coming along with the same messaging of the Democratic Party that, like, we've got to be moral. We've got to be grounded. President Trump has said a lot of things and done a lot of things that are considered, like, very immoral. Even coming up with the idea of using emergency money for a wall. Essentially, that is taking from places where an emergency could be. That would be funds that are earmarked for Puerto Rico. Or Texas or Louisiana, God forbid, any other place that could be hit by a natural disaster. If you use emergency money for that, then you're taking it from somewhere else,
yeah,
right?
pretty much. So we're just kind of moving money.
Right,
And
moving
we may not
it around,
need it today.
yeah.
But then we go to be like, oh, we had a major disaster in Mississippi. Okay, that's just, wait, we emptied FEMA. So we don't, that's where we took the money from because we didn't feel like we needed it at that time. Like,
Man, all that money that's in FEMA, I don't want to hear that. It's
Yeah.
still
but that was just
people-
an example.
But-
Still people in
but-
Louisiana trying to recover.
Yeah, I was going to say there was
Like-
18 billion that were appropriated for all these disasters that we talked about, and only 2.6 have made it anywhere.
So
it's
where's the
just
rest of the money?
sitting?
That's one. Like
Right.
certain things don't make sense. When a country is destroyed, like Puerto Rico is just an island.
Mm-hmm.
Haiti was destroyed. Like almost the whole country is like it's a hole. It's a big old hole right there. When you tell these people, well, we got money for y'all, but
we can't
we
give
can't
it.
do it to you right. We can't get it for
Right.
you right now.
And then
don't
the
make
piecemeal
sense.
kind of, yeah.
That don't
Yeah.
make sense. But then you tell America, well, we got the money. We just gonna take it out of this,
Right.
bruh.
Can you just hear the screams from people on the island of Puerto Rico who are still waiting for electricity while that money goes somewhere
How
else?
long ago was that? That was like,
That
what?
was a little over
Like
a year ago now. A little
It's
over
been
a year
that
ago.
long?
Yeah.
A
And
year.
they have Puerto Rico had to remove its dependent populations. So it had to close down some of its nursing homes and places where people needed care because if you weren't able-bodied and you couldn't work, then they just could not maintain your facilities. They had to ship their inmates off to the mainland. I think we may have talked about that a little bit. But a lot of their inmates, I think over 100,000, ended up going to Arizona and one other state. So if you did have a loved one who was temporarily incarcerated, you may not be able to even reach them on the island because they had to literally ship people. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, it was like a battle with the hotels because most of the hotels in Puerto Rico are like resort hotels.
Right.
But when you have to house that many people, they got to go somewhere.
So it's like a
Yeah.
Hotel Rwanda situation where they had to put all the
It's what-
refugees in a really nice,
Probably
upscale
very, very
hotel.
similar. So you can imagine, like, if this is the political swing we're at now, where it's like, give us a wall, America first, we could very well end up, I think, with someone who is like Julian Castro, who kind of represents the population of people that keep getting talked about without being talked about, if that makes sense.
All right, so let's take a break, and when we come back from our break, we'll get more into. I actually want to look at the people who have declared their presidency race. So stick around, the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice. What is going on with Facebook?
When I was younger and I didn't know better, living with these wolves, hurting for pleasure. Some kind of angel took me out of the jungle, from your blue lights and the sunlight. I sleep better at night without you around. Sometimes I still awake from you going out. It's too late to hold me, too late to call me to your saying if only I could get over you. It's too late to know me. I'm going without you. You're saying too. You're saying if only I could get over you. It's too late to know me. I'm going without you. You're saying if only, if only. It's too late to hold me, too late to call me too. You're saying if only I could get over you. It's too late to know me. I'm going without you. You're saying if only, if only. I love you, I love you, I love you. Until I love you, I love you, I love you. Until I find the day, the only word.
Everybody, we are back on this Monday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice, and my correspondent.
Double R.
And Simone Cherie.
Okay, so we're back to the age-old question that we're going to have to keep asking probably until we either get into 2020 or as we get farther along in 2019, which is who can run and win against Trump?
Nobody on this list.
Well,
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm looking.
there are a lot of lists out there. Go
I'm
ahead.
looking at this list. It's 133 Democratic candidates,
Jeez.
60 Republican candidates, 18 Libertarian candidates, and 10 Green candidates, and that's just right now that have declared. That's just
bet.
right now. None of these people will probably make it. It's probably gonna be like 12 people.
Yeah, I mean, there's always just a few that can actually get there. So because of our our two-party system, which actually does marginalize third-party groups, it's very difficult if you're not a Democrat or Republican to get elected. And if you are wanting to run as a Democrat or a Republican, you really need a lot of buy-in on a local level, on a national level. So it's just very difficult. There are states that don't even that actually purge people from the rolls if they don't have a certain amount of voters. So like for the Libertarian Party, even though they're the third largest party ahead of the Green Party, which is fourth, in Maine, they passed an amendment that basically purged everyone from the rolls if they didn't have, I think, like 2 million registered voters. So people got unregistered even if they were registered altogether just because they were libertarian. Things like that happen all the time if you're not one of the big two parties, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, okay,
So-
so let's look at who's actually declared
Yeah.
their presidency.
That's what
So
I'm
we
saying.
have Elizabeth Warren,
Yep.
who everybody knows where I stand on Elizabeth. I love her. I like that she can take stands, but I think she's too aggressive for a lady. I'm just
Man,
saying that's
you
just
like
me.
her
Do you think they
now.
would join together? Because they have very similar positions.
Who?
Warren and Sanders on foreign policy, especially. Like they really don't like. They really believe that our rivals are China and Russia. I think they kind of challenge like the standard quo in terms of our foreign policy. Like they're not super leftist. They don't really believe we should be completely diplomatic everywhere. They understand that there are hot spots. I think that they are kind of similar in that way.
I think the only way we're going to win, 'cause at this point, we're at a popularity contest. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
We're at a popularity contest. I don't care what you've done. I don't care who you are. I could probably run at this point and have a shot at being on the ticket, like being taken seriously. Like that's where we are. So the only way I feel like somebody's going to win, and I've said this before, you're going to have to pair a newbie with an old head. So it have to be like Joe Biden and Cory Booker, or it have to be.
Well, stop putting his name out here.
I'm
What's
just
wrong with
saying
Cory Booker's name
it had
now?
to be like Kamala Harris and Bernie
Warren.
Sanders. Like it had to be somebody who was a good face and young enough to excite social media, but somebody behind the puppet master behind him saying, "I'll be your VP. We can get this done together. You be the face. I'll
Gonna
be the puppet
it's
master."
Probably gonna be Biden and Warren. I'm looking.
I can't see them winning.
I'm looking online right now.
Why can't you see them winning?
I don't.
That's where a lot of people. Those are the first two names. Either Biden or Warren, or Biden and Bloomberg. Bloomberg had like a lot of traction a couple years ago when he announced a couple years ago that he would have ran. But I think it's a lot of people, especially in the state of New York, that's not a fan. And you talking about like a state with 14 million people in it. They have like a lot of votes. Those votes count. Like,
Yeah, those votes are very important. Those states too, which is why Kristen Gillibrand, I think, is going to Iowa, which is
Yeah.
another big state you want to go to. You want to go to that first state where they usually have their caucuses before every other state does their voting. So she's already making moves there. My question is, a lot of the energy was around Bernie before Hillary became the Democrats' pick, and voters were very upset that that energy couldn't be put somewhere. Like they were upset, obviously, that the Democratic National Committee, that those emails came out proving that they were trying to push Hillary. But they're also very upset because I think that the energy and the excitement, it requires millennials, like you said, and requires that there's a big digital swarm around someone.
Yes, it's got to be.
And it
a
was
face.
Obama before.
Yeah.
So you need that energy. And at the time, Bernie had that energy. He just did. He just wasn't their guy. I don't think he had the same pockets of money that Hillary had already worked to cultivate in her career. She had a lot of the big Democratic donors, but she didn't really have the grassroots, really honestly hard left socialist budding.
She had no.
She didn't. She
just didn't have that umph to get young people to be like, oh my God,
Right.
we
but
ride
I
with
think
Hillary.
she did. I think she did. I think she had enough. I don't think that. I think that.
So what? Let me ask you
Bernie-
this: what do you think the issue was with Hillary? Because you a ride or die Hillary. So
She a
what do you think
woman.
the issue was?
She a woman. She a white woman. I don't think that if Michelle would have went through that, I doubt that a black woman would have went through that same thing. I think that in this country, especially in the last 10 years, the sympathy and not sympathy, the empathy for what black women in particular go through is not the same as what white women go through. I think that white women are very cliquey, especially when it comes to voting. They're very cliquey. And I think that now more than ever, the being popular without having a face, without being as in people's faces, I don't think that Hillary ever had that. She didn't have the element of surprise. Like a lot of people didn't know who Bernie was before 4 years ago. Nobody knew.
even though he'd been in office for forever.
And he's been in office. He's been
Yeah.
in government for 30 years. The same amount of time as Hillary. He hasn't done as much, but that's because she was married to a president. She was
Well, I
married
think-
to a former
but
president that
shouldn't
was
that work in her
liked
favor,
and
though?
disliked.
But think about this. No, the ideology is far more leftist and extreme than you guys are giving Democrats credit for. Democrats have become very far left. Like the partisan divide, the Republicans are super radical. The left is very radical
It's
too.
becoming that, and
Hillary
she
is
wasn't
not
that.
radical. President Obama was more liberal than Hillary Clinton on a lot of issues. He was more interested in hiking up minimum wages than she ever was. He was far more interested in what was another issue? Universal payer health care than she is now. But remember this 3 strikes? She was behind that when it passed. She's very much what a lot of people would have considered, at least at the time, an old school or a blue dog Democrat, which is basically you're a Republican in every other way except for that you're not on the Republican ticket. She had a lot of conservative positions. She was very much in support of the war.
And I don't give her credit for that 3 strikes rule. That was going to pass regardless. I think that she was just there. She made some comments.
Yeah, unfortunately,
and she
sometimes
was
just being
there.
in the room.
But
sometimes.
but when you go back and you look at it, that had been on the table since the 80s. They had been trying to implement that, and she just so happened to be in a place.
Yeah.
This is 93, right around Rodney King-ish, right? The riots, and when they found $100 million worth of drugs and all them girls kept getting killed. This is around that. And a lot of this stuff, it becomes popular because of the things that happen around it.
Yeah.
When Hillary was running, nothing was happening. People wasn't dying. People wasn't really getting killed like that. She was really going to these places where people had gotten killed and really trying to find out, why people didn't like her. That's where she started to lose a lot of white women. Why are you going to black neighborhoods to try to find out why these black people don't like you? They don't like you because they think that it's your fault. Things happened and your husband did it, and you was there and you watched it.
She
and you ain't
supported
say
it though
nothing.
too. She supported it. She was a vocal supporter. Everyone was.
Everybody
she was, too.
supported, and I don't argue that, because when you go back and you look at that bill at that particular time, hey, cuz, you kill somebody, you can't just come out in the streets and just be doing you. It don't work like that. Society don't work like that. So I get it, but I
Yeah.
think at the emotional time that it was happening back then, it was so emotional that people were doing these things based on emotion. So I understood why she was going to these places, and she lost voters. She lost radical left people because they're like, no, we agree with what you did. We like what you did. We all the way over there on that side, or we all the way over on this side. And she didn't get those people, but she got enough people where it was very, very close. Very close.
Yeah. We can't forget percentage-wise, it was still kind of close in
Like,
terms of the popular vote.
0.1% up until like the last second, and then you look at the numbers, less than 1 million people. Less than
Yeah.
1 million people.
Okay,
It's a
so
small
my
margin,
question
but
is-
what I'm saying is that's why somebody really radical is going to have to be on that Democratic ticket. You can't really fight extremism with moderacy.
Yeah, you
have
can't
to
be
have
in the
an
middle.
you just have to, unfortunately. And hopefully, I mean,
And I don't think, that's why I keep saying I don't think that it's going to happen now. I don't think it's anybody radical enough.
well, there are.
Elizabeth Warren is very aggressive, but she's not radical.
She's not. And a lot of the older heads are not.
They're not
They're-
radical.
they're not.
They make a lot of sense to. We're starting to see older people live longer, so they're voting more. Like
That's
it's
true.
people that voted
True.
that said they haven't voted in years for Trump, not for Hillary, for Trump.
Right.
So that old ideology that we thought we were getting rid of,
it's
we didn't
still-
get rid of that. The thing that I did like about what Hillary did is the same thing that Bernie did, the same thing that Barack did. Interacting with young people it counts now. You can't just be like, I've been doing this for a very long time. These kids don't care nothing about that. Hey, what you been doing lately? This is why you're starting to see that push with Bernie. You've been sitting down for 4 years. What have
Yeah.
you been doing for? You've been going more bald. You're trying to hold on to that hair
listen.
Really?
for 4 years.
Donald,
but
excuse
we're
me.
starting to
I'm
see,
thinking about
even with
somebody
the
else's
younger
bald.
candidates, you're starting to see them become more aggressive in the way they speak about the Republican Party and the way
Yeah.
they act when they're doing these conventions. The Democrats are starting to do things that you've never seen them do before. It's starting to look a little weird. It's starting to look desperate.
No, I think Democrats realize that they cannot, that the high road that they were supposed to take, and like Hillary Clinton did when she just dug her heels, however small, into the ground and said, I'm just going to keep working.
Her kitten heels?
Didn't work because those attacks kept coming at her and it didn't help her to be focused or to be clear, or to be concise, or to stick to her. That didn't help her. There were a lot of
Experience.
situations that she did not dodge, and in particular about the 3 strikes law that we now know, okay, 20 plus years later, we now know this was terrible. It's so terrible that your husband came out on your campaign trail to apologize to everyone and say that that was not a good idea.
But he had
and
been
it did cause a lot
apologizing
of problems
for a long time.
But
They've
the fact
been
that
apologizing, though.
20 plus years later, he's now doing it again really for her sake, and even that was a part of her campaign pitch. But the further step is, okay, here is my policy plan to eradicate all of that damage. Like, this is what I'm going to do to flip this entirely on its head. Hillary had, I think, a good message, but she wasn't as far on the left as some of these younger freshman congressmen are that I really think are going to have that energy. And I don't think they're going to have that political will because the Democratic Party is still too split between who they used to be and where the money is and who the potential Democratic voters are really going to back, which is like the Alexandra Ocasio-Cortezes.
All right, so let's
People
pause
who-
right there.
Yeah.
So
Dang.
I'm starting to wonder if she's not going to be on the ticket. It sounds ludicrous, but the girl making a lot of noise. And
making a lot
at
of
the end of the
noise.
day, that's what's really, it's about popularity. Every time you turn around, this girl is doing something.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that people
Until
are
you
going to
get in
start to
that
like
office.
her.
Until you get in that office.
I know.
And we've also seen that people don't really care how good you are at things.
They don't, and
All
that's
the
what
way.
I'm saying. It is becoming one of those things where experience don't matter. So when y'all was talking
Sense
about
don't matter.
the Castro dude, he's very young, very young.
Yeah.
Look at this Cortez girl.
She's very young too. And
Well, no, Castro is 44. So
yeah,
he's
but
not young.
he's young.
Look at
he
her.
Was, he was
She's
Obama's
like
age.
20-something, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's
like 22,
30.
23.
30.
Yeah, I think she's barely 30. And there's more, but she's like, okay, I want free
Experience.
health care, free college, free this, 70% tax rate.
She just graduated
everybody.
7 years ago.
It,
She just graduated college 7 years ago.
but the point, but she's got the direction people are going. People are wondering, well, maybe socialism isn't so bad. Maybe we should just see what it looks like for everyone to just be given a pot from the government and have to split it amongst themselves. She comes from that same stream of thought. She thinks everything should just be green And I mean, so I think in terms of all of those politics, she's going to have that momentum, where I would normally have my objections are in terms of actual ability. So when she says things like, when she confuses the Congress with the House,
She's done that?
yes, when she confuses the legislative branch with the executive branch, when she talks about the importance of donating your salary and then doesn't donate her, those sorts of errors that come along with just lack of competence would be a big deal, are a big deal.
I think that's
would be a big deal
experience.
to me had we not already seen them from our own president.
And I don't think she did. I don't
so-
think she confused them on purpose. But I think when you're young,
No, people don't confuse things on purpose.
when you're young, she's doing this is happening very, very fast for her.
Yeah.
Sure, it's only been
Like,
2 weeks. I'm sure.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm
not
saying, like,
doubting
look at her running. Look at that whole thing. That it happened so fast. I didn't notice that she won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had only seen her, so I thought
Yeah.
that she was already in office. I didn't know she was running
And
against
she's
a
had
person.
all that paid media, and that's another thing that helps too, and it helped Trump. He had a lot of free media. People were fascinated by Trump. They wanted to know what he was doing, what he wasn't doing, what he was saying, what he wasn't saying. So the fact that people are following her and she's getting so much media coverage, it could help her. Even though, as if you're being a very critical voter, you're listening to her and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, I doubt she.
People really care about your heart
look,
at this point.
I'm not going
more
to say
than
I
your
doubt
head.
anything.
I
Because
doubt
I didn't
she
think
win.
Trump would be in office, and here we
think-
are.
I don't
think
know.
the country is, if you talk to a lot of people and you watch what Michelle just did, I don't think that can be beat. And I don't care who she run with. I don't care who
But is
she
Michelle
run with.
going to run?
She's
No,
not.
Michelle's not going
I
to
don't
run.
think that.
This is the time to announce if you're
She's
going.
not
I think
going to
she.
run.
I think she would run, but I think she know Barack don't want to be back in that house.
She don't listen. I've watched her on when she sat down with Oprah and
With the press runs,
Huh?
she said it was hard. She said it
No,
was
she
hard being
said
in
when
that
she
house.
finally got on that plane and they left the White House,
It was
she
a sigh.
finally sighed
It was a sigh
of
of
relief. Why would she go back to that? And now she would be in charge.
I think she understand like that's a whole different type of power. That you can't prepare for that. That's why I'm saying none of these younger candidates. It don't matter how good you look on social media and how many likes you get and how many hearts you get and how many people on your store. A lot of that won't matter because there are so many older voters now that understand the policy, that study policy, that have been in this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Even if they beat the older candidates, you have to win those people.
Yeah, but you got to flip that though, because reciprocally, yeah, we have a lot of older people voting, but reciprocally, we got how many people that now have been restored rights felons who now have been restored
Yeah,
voting
in
rights? So you got
Florida,
to account for them
Colorado.
too.
I mean,
and those they're
but-
not as versed in policy and all the other stuff. They're going
But
to
you
go
talking
for
about half a
popularity.
You're talking about 500,000 people versus 15 million kids.
And kids have to vote. If kids voted in their right numbers, kids meaning like I'm saying like 18 to 24, if they voted more, like if the voter participation wasn't so low among young people, we'd be having a different conversation. And for Barack Obama's sake, I mean, when he ran, he had a lot of young people and he had historic numbers of young people. So it can be done, but
'Cause
you
he
have to
caught
be
them at the right
you need
time.
a superstar though. You just have to be that's just what it is. Trump was a Republican superstar. Like he smashed 16 other opponents. So you need a superstar. It's not even really a question of anything else to me. I don't know why Democrats are thinking about anything else, like where they stand here, where they stand there. It clearly doesn't matter.
gotta
Like,
be a
it
star.
clearly does not matter.
And they have to run with somebody that know what they're doing.
Yes.
But they don't though. That's the thing. Because Trump doesn't know what he's doing, and he admits that this is very hard, and he didn't know how hard it was.
Yeah,
gonna be.
but
so you don't
Trump
have
had
to
a lot
know.
Trump had a lot of people. He put a lot of people in place that had been very experienced, and fired them to put other people that had been very experienced.
But they didn't get him elected, though. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, including Paul Ryan, Speaker Ryan of the Republican of the House, did not support President Trump. Flat out said, this should not be our candidate.
Yeah, until
and he
you-
ended up having to work for him.
Yeah,
so a lot
until
of people
your
that
job was in jeopardy.
right. So I'm saying he didn't have support of people who he ended up, having to work with at all. It's about the voters and the money and the excitement and the traffic. It's not really about the other politicians, like the endorsements that people used to always fight for. You don't need political endorsements anymore.
Yes,
that
literally.
actually may be a negative thing if, people that are currently in office support you, because you're probably on the opposite side of the.
But that's what I'm
The
saying.
grassroots.
I think it for certain people, like I can maybe 3 to 4 people. I think that can run right now and win right now.
Who?
Maybe
That are politicians.
no.
Exactly.
None of them are
Exactly.
politicians.
But who? I'm curious. Who you come up with?
And the first person to come to mind would be Mark Cuban. He makes the most sense. He makes the most sense. Would be the most business savvy. He probably has the most money out of everybody else. I'm gonna name
Easily, yeah.
Mark Cuban, The Rock. I think with his popularity, I'm just saying with his especially
Why
right
do we
now,
keep going back to Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Because
Because
if you're
he has
talking
multiple
about
appeal.
That's
He's
cute
smart.
for a governor.
No, it's
No,
not.
But
It's
for
not.
the president,
It's yes.
What you mean?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
one
again, that's
Was
cute
governor.
for a
for a
governor.
governor, but I know right now Arnold wouldn't even almost win presidency right now. Not with what he looked like right now.
I
You seen
don't.
his
I don't
face?
even think it's. I don't think that would help Democrats because I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger would be helpful to Democrats. He's conservative in a lot of ways. But Dwayne is a minority technically. He's a man, which clearly people believe is better.
He's like a
than being
different
woman.
sized man too. Like,
Right. And it's also a question of like your background too, because like now everything counts that you have done. Like even with Hillary, even though that was her husband's policy, it came back to haunt her. If you have tweets from 20 years ago, it comes back to haunt you. So now it's also about your background. And the woman from Hawaii, Tulsi Gabbard, I hope I'm saying that right. That doesn't feel Hawaiian. She's announced for less than 24 hours, and people have dug up the fact that her father works for an anti-LGBT organization that helped with conversion therapy to rid people of their sexuality.
She hang that up.
And she worked for them at some point because that was her father's business. But every little thing, especially, well, that's a big thing. But I'm just saying, if what's in your
Ish.
background, I think is also going to count.
yeah.
But I mean, the question, but where does she stand? Or I guess that'd be the first thing
it don't
she has to
matter.
say.
It don't matter where you stand.
may or may
This what
not.
you are what your daddy did,
Or your husband, or your
or your brother, or your cousin, or your nephew. The Rock was in a Disney movie where he was a fairy. He was the Tooth Fairy.
That
in
doesn't
a
sound all that
movie.
bad.
That's what I'm saying.
That's better than being a
He's
Nazi or
also
something.
Hobbs from Fast and Furious.
What does that have to do with?
I think that could
Because
go
it's
well for him.
this
it's
is where I draw the line.
I'm
This
just
is where I
telling you,
draw the
it's a
line.
multi-billion-dollar, world famous and renowned franchise.
But
What
then-
does that have to do with the?
Wait,
Because
being
he
a
has the
diplomat?
appeal of he has the eyes. Right now, he has the eyes. Mark Cuban has the eyes. In one of the most popular sports on the planet, you have one of the most dominant young players on your team. You found him. You called it out. You said that he was going to be the rookie of the year and he was going to be an all-star. You have the money.
How
You're
does
one
this
of the
correlate?
Name
biggest
the other
sharks.
two, though.
president.
Name the other two double R, because you said 3 or 4. And people
I
are
think
asking who else could.
those two. I think if people were speculating that Oprah could run,
Oprah's not gonna run.
I don't.
But she could win.
she could-
Absolutely,
And
Michelle
ain't that
Oprah,
something?
hands down would win. Michelle and Oprah
I
would
think,
hands down win.
But I think that Michelle, it'll be
I
a
wouldn't
little
want them
fight.
together, though.
I think if Oprah ran, she win, and it'll be clear. I think if they ran on the same ticket, it's a sweep.
That'd be bad. Though.
Naturally.
Why would you want that?
It'll be a
Why
sweep.
wouldn't you?
Why would you want them on the same ticket?
Why wouldn't you?
Because
Don't you
that'll
want
give
two
you.
candidates with?
No, I want both of them on the same ticket, and I'm gonna explain why. I want both of them on the same ticket because we can get them back to back. That's 16 years
That is true.
of them being in office.
That's true.
Or you can just get the other one in 8 years. Here's my thing that's kind of disappointing, though. I'm very disappointed in Oprah right now because I've really thought that she's had so many conversations like, oh, please, I would never run. Oh, please, I would never run. In 99, I would never run. In 09, no, I would never run. But now it's 2019, and there's nothing. The field is dry. It's sparse.
Yeah,
Like,
but
now
now
it's
she,
time-
but
and-
she
and the
runs
fact
a
that-
network. I mean, at this point, like who
Trump
else that
ran
got
a international hotel chain.
No, he didn't. He never. He just.
Okay.
named
He didn't
his
run
name
them.
I
and
guess
his
my
own.
point is.
Oversaw.
I guess my point is.
he did not run.
The Rock may have movies coming up. Mark Cuban may have who knows coming up. But this is the highest
how
office
dope
in the
that'd be?
world. Maybe we could take a break.
That'd be
for
dope.
4 years and save the American people.
Yeah, but
That'd
we
be.
got to think of these as individuals. Like Oprah runs a network where she dictates programming and stuff, and she
So?
gets to get
So
the eyes and
she's
stuff.
Oprah.
To go sit. If they're lost my point, so go sit in the White House where she's behind a desk and she's doing legislation all day. I
She
don't think
does
Oprah
not have
gonna
to-
do that.
Clearly
There,
that's not
there
the
is
job.
there is another person
Oh God, I'm scared.
that
to ask
could
who.
run.
Who?
And he's probably the only politician that I think could run
Who?
right now.
Who?
Former Vice President Joe Biden. Joe
I'm not
Biden
opposed to
has
Biden.
the experience.
I'm not opposed to Biden.
Now, why I do love Hillary, because I think that with her experience in that office, he would be the only other person that could run and potentially win, depending on who he ran with. That's the first three people that I named, it don't matter who they run on the ticket with. It don't matter who on the ticket with Mark Cuban. He has appeal enough by himself to do that by himself. Michelle could do it by herself. Oprah could do it by herself. The Rock could do it by herself. Joe Biden that's what it's starting to become. No, I didn't know vice president's name. I still be forgetting what his name is because it was Trump. Nobody cared about this dude. His name real small on the thing. Nobody cared. He sat in the office where the most popular people in America, and you ain't even say nothing. You sat in the background like a scared little kid. That's why he's the most dangerous in that office right now. Because if we get Trump out of there, we're going to be stuck with that. And we don't know what he's capable of because he hasn't done much.
This is very true.
If you look at his track record, he hasn't done much. His appeal was that he was quiet. Look at the whole campaign trail. He was quiet. He was chilling. He ain't say much. He did a few little things, but he wasn't Trump. All we seen was Trump. And then his name was like real small, like fine print. If we get them out of there, we can't have that again. We can't have that again. It either got to be somebody so big that it don't matter who they run with, or somebody that has the experience as a politician that can run with somebody as experienced.
Like Biden wants free college, and he wanted the minimum wage to be $15 an hour when Obama said $12. So he's more liberal in all those ways. And he wants to expand the ACA rather than just keep it the way. Obviously, it has problems, but he wants to expand it even further than the protections.
But who will we put him with? That becomes a question. Who will we put him with?
It'd have to be another politician that I think he needs.
A non-politician. He could be with a non-politician. It could be like a Pence and Trump situation all over again. We have a politician and a non-politician.
I mean,
someone who knows the way it works, someone who doesn't.
I mean, that's what I've been saying. Like, it has to be a nice package. But the person that's behind the package has to be somebody who can actually,
they can stand up and do the job.
Rap it. Yeah, they can actually.
Biden can run on a ticket with either one of those people.
Who?
Anyone he's mentioned.
Either the person that I named.
Biden
he can
and
be
Cuban,
on that ticket with
Biden and Johnson,
win.
yeah.
And win.
I think that would be Trump
clear
for sure.
win. Like a sweep.
Especially if Trump doesn't get the wall, because I think his base would be discouraged.
Oh, no.
You know what? Now that we're really thinking about this, that's another reason why this is so important, I think, too.
Well, I mean, I know that's what his logic is, but my thing is...
People do get unsettled. Like, as unshakable as Trump's base is, they also have no alternative. So they really want the things that they want to go through him. And so when he is struggling to get certain things done, they do get very, very frustrated. He's still getting a lot of flack for not being able to overturn Obamacare.
And that's what's going to be nasty.
So
because imagine what the next Republican would come in. Y'all want a wall? Let's get that wall. Trump couldn't do it, but I'll do it.
Actually, they could run off that.
That's what I was going to say. There you go. There
Look,
it is.
Dang, that's trademark. Don't steal my slogan.
You better take care of that right now. Well, no, the office is closed.
Oh, I don't think any other Republican.
You a lawyer? You can do that for me.
I can't trademark that for you. The government shut down.
But
when they open, you better file that paperwork and get that ready and queued up to go.
Hey, on that note, we're going to take our second break. And when we come back, we're going to have more of this presidential debate and some other interesting weird news on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
I love weird news. We should
I'm in the right direction. I'm into right this ocean. Traveling in slow motion. Paddling with no question. Early morning with the sun. Not yet burning, innocent. I try to be a good son. Myself 100%. Oh. I feel it inside. I wanna reach that. It's somewhere inside. I wish I reached that. Skyline, skyline. I wanna reach that skyline. Skyline. wish I reached that skyline. Skyline. I'm gonna reach that skyline. Skyline. Endless troubles to go through. They're strewn in the city. Daily struggle to be true. Betrayed authenticity. Poison all around, but still I will take another round or another ride until we take off from the ground. I feel it inside. I wanna reach that. It's somewhere inside. I wish I reached that. Reach that skyline. Skyline. I wanna reach that skyline. Skyline. I wish I reached that skyline. Skyline. I wanna reach that skyline. Skyline.
All right, everybody, we are back on this Monday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo Rice, and my correspondent.
Double R.
Simone Cherie.
All right, so let's put this presidential thing to bed. So who are we saying? We know we have Elizabeth Warren, who has declared her presidential run.
She won't
We
win.
have Julian Castro, who's
She won't
declared
win.
his,
I mean, he
and
won't
Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, these three have declared that they're actually running. Everybody else we're talking about is speculation.
No, it's a list.
These three have actually said they're running.
It's a very long list of people that have declared.
Who?
Well, true,
these
but
are
I
we're
told
talking
you it's
about viable
466 people.
Well, yeah.
So, like, people that have declared, Biden has declared.
for sure, because I thought I saw an article today that said he's still toying around with the
No,
notion.
they said he declined to speak about it, but he declared that he would run. Michael Bloomberg declared. Cory Booker, Julian Castro, John Delaney, who's the congressman from Maryland, Kirsten Gillibrand, I think that's how you say her name.
Yeah, Gillibrand.
Kamala Harris said that she would run. I don't know if she's officially declared.
I don't think so.
This military guy named Richard I don't want to say his name, Jada. He's a military guy, highly decorated.
Is he the guy with one eye?
No, that's the guy. He got 26 medals, and very strong guy. Bernie, Tom Steyer, some billionaire.
I'm only
dude.
willing to put fire behind Bernie because of the minimum wage thing. If he can get that pushed, I think he may have
I
actual
think that's
shot.
like every Democrat's position is going to be minimum wage. Like, I don't think you have to worry about that, unfortunately.
The problem is that this is the thing that they're gonna run on, but it's already going to be in effect in a couple of years. Why would you run on it?
Because that's what people
Because
notice.
people want it.
Yeah, people are going to be like, oh my God, Bernie got us $15 out.
I mean,
bruh,
President
you
Trump is
win.
pushing a wall when
let's-
we already have a barrier.
Let's not
so.
do it to Ricardo because he said we be ganging up on
True,
him about
true,
minimum
true.
wage.
It's the truth.
True.
What I'm telling you is that this is
It's
what
the
I'm
truth.
saying. If you expect that a wage that starts with the word minimum is what you deserve, that's your fault. It's called minimum wage, which means that you could make more money than that, which means that you won't make less money than that.
Well, that's the only part people going to be care about. I'm not making less than that. So I no longer
Okay,
make
so if you're
$750.
if you're not making less than $750, then get a job that pay you more than $750.
I'm not about to
Every
get this-
job.
I don't want to get this
want.
debate again over minimum wage.
I don't want the dude that make my burger making $15.
I personally would like the person that handles the drive-thru to make $15. They'd be nicer to me. I almost got my food thrown at me the other day.
What
Like,
did
when I was
you?
going through the
What did
drive-thru.
you do?
But you do have a right
No,
to defend
I
yourself.
know you, Ricardo. What did you do?
I did not. I just asked.
See,
It was-
see, you started wrong.
I just asked for an extra barbecue sauce. Is that worth you throwing
But
a bag at me?
how did you ask?
I'm very nice. Don't act like I'm some monster. I asked very nicely. I've worked in restaurants.
I feel like you looked in the bag and was like, excuse me. I definitely asked for an extra barbecue sauce. Oh, you did? Did you? I feel like that's exactly
You're
what
not about to
happened.
create this scenario that makes me a monster. No, I have worked. First of all, out of the two of you, I've worked in more restaurants and served than both of you. So I understand that
I never-
dynamic.
I
Thank
have
you.
worked in restaurants.
I'm talking about like
Restaurants.
McDonald's,
No,
Taco
full
Bell,
service,
exactly.
full service.
McDonald's, Burger King. I've been there. Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, Taco
Tips.
Hut. I've been there. No, I'm talking about when not serving. I'm talking about just working in a restaurant. So I respect the game.
I worked at Slice
That's why I
Pizza.
go hard when we start talking about minimum wage,
See?
and particularly y'all are the person that salt the fries and crap. Well, I started as a person that salt the fries, and
wrong
ultimately
with
I
it.
became the manager. But I'm just saying, I respect that hustle. I know how hard that is. I get it.
I don't
Not the same
want-
token.
I don't want the salt shaker on the fries making $15.
I don't care.
It don't make sense.
I don't care how much they make because the company wants to pay them. I care that this becomes a floor in which every occupation is given the same amount of money despite what the company's
The
bottom line is.
job, like
Right.
don't try to set precedent for McDonald's. Why would you do that?
Because McDonald's brings in billions a year, and they still pay some of their employees like $7 some change.
But they have
So?
incredible benefits. McDonald's
Stop
as a corporation
working
has
at
incredible
Mac.
benefits.
If it's
You
really
get to a
management
certain
program.
level- Once you get to a certain level,
They also have the college.
terrible? You
They
said
pay
act
your
like that's
tuition.
terrible.
and fast food.
Like if you work at McDonald's and you get ready to go to college, they'll pay for your schooling.
I understand that, but again, most of the people that, and actually that dynamic has changed because in my day, you were fresh out of high school or in high school, so you worked at McDonald's because that's just what you did, so that you could, build your repertoire up and learn how to have patience. Now, those same kids don't have to do that kind of stuff. Those kids can get out and go work for Google.
No,
or
they
a summer
can't.
internship
They be
program.
on Instagram twerking and be
Stop
having them-
generalizing the kids.
No, they do. That you know
generalizing the
it's
kids.
more money in doing eyelashes as a high school student than it is working in fast food.
I mean, they're not my
of
point,
these
so they don't have to
Most of
do
these
that.
girls do lace fronts and frontals.
That's their hustle.
and open closures.
There lies in my point. They have better options than we had in my day. We went to the McDonald's. So these kids don't have to do that now. They can become a YouTube.
And yet you think
So
they should be able to make
who are you
$50
giving the $15 to?
those people who can't get a decent job and end up, those felons or whatever that can actually get hired at McDonald's but have a good work ethic.
Yeah, I don't know many felons that want to work at McDonald's.
It's not about a
I-
want to
It's
work.
not.
That's where they
but,
end up at.
But it's
I
about the
think-
fact
no,
that
they
if
don't.
work ethic is the problem, then you should earn more money, not be given more money. If work ethic is the problem.
But if I can't get in that, I don't want to have this debate again.
Exactly.
I don't have
We
this
keep
debate
doing
again.
it.
I'm just saying.
The question was, who are we putting our money behind for presidential candidates?
Cuban.
It should be
rock.
Has he
Cuban.
even
It
said
should be
he'd do
Cuban
it?
and Biden.
Y'all keep talking about Cuban.
Cuban
Has he said he'd
Biden.
do it?
He's more open to it than Oprah is.
Cuban Biden or Dwayne Biden, I'm voting. Michelle
I'm not saying I'm
Biden,
voting, but
Oprah
that's-
Biden,
that's
Okay,
anything
that's-
Biden. I want Hillary in
That's
there.
his
Hillary
impression.
Biden, I'm voting for it. Bernie Biden, it don't matter. As long as Biden in there, I'm voting. Anybody else, like if the first name Elizabeth, I don't know. It'd have to be Biden Elizabeth. But Cuban Biden, Dwayne Biden, Oprah Biden, Michelle
okay, so
Biden.
here's my last question. Are we really ready for a female president? That becomes the question when we start tossing out women. I know we've had a black male president. Kudos.
So?
We had him twice. But are we ready for a female president?
I think that we become more ready if the person that ran first was black.
What do you mean?
If
It was a black female?
If Oprah would have ran in 2016 and lost, we'd be more ready to vote for a woman. But even though she wouldn't have lost, because it's Oprah versus Hillary. Hillary being the first woman to run for president and get that close. You lose by less than 1 million votes. And we know you got cheated. And people are still upset. I'm still upset. But we stuck with Trump. We stuck with Trump. A lot of people didn't want her to win, but when she lost, people was like, oh man, what we gonna do now? Because now we see the show. It's a show. He turned it into a show.
When
And
I
she
would pay
said
for
it. She told him, like, you don't even know what you're talking about. You think that this is TV. You think that you are producing a TV show. And then he talked about her shoes. And that was more entertaining
Well, I mean,
to
those
do.
kitten heels.
Look, that was more entertaining to do, was to talk about her shoes and talk about the things that people care about. And now you're starting to notice, like, people are starting to really be affected by the things that nobody talks about, and people still don't talk about them. Like, minimum wage been this since as long as it's been minimum. It's called minimum wage. Ain't nobody complaining like, bro, I made too much money. Like, they should change that. No, nobody's saying that. Nobody's also complaining about the route that you have to take to move up in a job. Because if you get hired at $15, then why would I ever move you up?
Well, I mean, the cost of living is going to go up, and they'll find a better way to make even more money. So I don't.
The cost of living
I
will
feel like
go
it'll
up
level
in
up.
the
It'll level out.
city. The cost of living always goes up in the city, but when you leave outside the city, Decatur apartment's been between $700 to $1,000 for 10 years. I used to live in Decatur. Apartment I used to live in was $889. I went back to those apartments, applied to move in. It's $989. It only went up $100 in 10 years. In 10 years. The cost of living downtown Atlanta, that's totally different.
That's
And
all I'm
that
saying,
just-
but then you talking about areas, though. I personally don't want to live in Decatur.
And-
I
and-
want to stay in Cobb. So my rent goes up consistently every go around, especially when you drop a stadium there. Oh, yeah. Like, I'm scared. My lease is up in March. I'm scared to even see what they're going to send me to tell me what my new rent would be if I stayed. Like, it's about where you want to live. I don't want to live in Decatur.
But
I
you-
want to live
you
in.
also-
I want to stay in
but
Cobb.
you
But
may
you
want to live in
also-
Decatur once you get that.
There lies in the problem. I don't.
But
no.
you also live in like a very nice place.
Yes.
So-
But it's not super nice. It's not like anything you see downtown. My apartment's nice, but it's not super nice.
Yeah, it's
For
relative.
super nice, I'm
Nice is
going-
relative because you put. I said nice, really nice. You said super nice. How? What's the difference between really and super? Like, how big is that gap?
Well, it's not even about the gap. It's about all the other factors, the amenities, the neighborhood.
But more
stuff like
importantly,
that.
as that stuff changes, and it does change, does your job change? Does your role change? Does your responsibilities change? Do your hours change? No. So why should your pay change?
Actually, it does because now
How?
downsizing. So now I do the job of 5 other people.
So then you should get paid more. That has nothing to do with a bill.
But if the company's not going to do it because
Well,
it's going to fit
then
their
you
bottom
should go
line.
somewhere
And
else.
I'm not
Then
even
you should
talking
go
about- and I'm not
somewhere
even talking
else.
McDonald's and Burger King.
Then
Now
you
I'm
gotta
talking
go
about like
somewhere else.
a call center job.
Then you gotta go somewhere else.
You get rid of 5 callers, and now I'm doing the job of
You
5
are
callers.
not required to work at the job that you had because this is not Soviet Russia. So
Yeah, but
you
if
can
my
leave your
resume-
job at any time.
But if my
now,
resume
you
doesn't
have-
warrant me to be able to walk off one and walk
It
into a better
does.
one.
It does.
But that's
does.
also your fault.
It's free will. You
Okay,
can
I don't
walk
want
off your
I don't
job.
want to get into this debacle about
we keep-
No, I'm
the
just
minimum
saying.
wage.
I'm just saying.
You gotta go to the
and
weird
It's
news.
not a finger pointer thing, but it is your fault that if your resume does not
Yeah.
have. If
Okay,
you
well,
don't
let me say,
have
okay,
adequate experience.
not resume. My experience does not warrant me to walk off and get that dream
Well, you have
job
to
or get
when
closer.
you apply to a job, you have to put your experience on the resume. If your resume doesn't warrant me to pay you $15, why would I do that? If you ain't never I'm talking about for people that have never had a job. If you've never had a job and you get hired at $15 and your mama been working her job for 10 plus years and she made $15, one of y'all got to catch these hands. And not from me.
protest.
Somebody in your house should throw them hands. Because that I'm saying that is an insult for you to walk in your house and tell you, hey mom, I made $15. Hold on, hold on, what? Because now your mother doesn't get a raise. Your mother already makes minimum wage.
Yeah, but they go again. That's the minimum.
You can't. If $15 is the minimum and you make $15 now, I don't have to give you a raise. You make minimum wage.
You know, I'll tell you what we're gonna do. This is what we're going to do because I'm sick of YouTube. So
I'm on
what
strike.
I'm going to do is
Call Pedro
I'm
and
on
tell him
strike.
come up here. He can
No,
get this heat.
I'm going to grab an
Tell
expert.
Keith
No,
he can come back
I'm
and
going
get
to
this
grab an
heat.
expert. So I'm going to get, and I think I know exactly who I'm going to get.
Call Trey.
No, I'm going to get somebody from, I think it's called the 9 to 15 like movement. I'm going to get somebody from there so they can make a legitimate argument
Oh, yeah.
as to why
Yeah, bring 'em
they
up
are
here.
petitioning
Oh,
for $15 an hour.
And me
So
and
that's what
Simone
I'm going
gonna
to do.
flame 'em.
So that's what I'm going to do.
And you should bring somebody that actually works
Let's advertise
one of
that.
those little jobs.
I think I know somebody. So it's fine.
He said
what?
little jobs.
One of those.
He
One
said
of those.
little jobs.
One of those
He
jobs.
said little.
We're not going to minimize the little. Cause
Let's-
But
Okay.
it's a minimum wage.
Y'all, we got to move on.
Anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put this minimum wage issue to bed.
Nope.
And I'm gonna get somebody from 9 to 15. I think that's the name of the organization that's in Georgia that's petitioning to get a minimum. I mean, fast food workers and I think healthcare and some other areas $15 an hour. I'm gonna invite them on the show so they can make a legitimate argument as to what their actual argument is, so we can make a more logical, informed decision.
Yeah.
Not that we don't, but
No.
I'm just saying with their facts. I'm
with
sure they
it.
paint a
Simone,
different picture.
basically
I'm
what
with
he
it.
said.
That's what we gonna
He's
do.
gonna find him some help.
I'm with it.
He
Yeah,
gonna
let's do
find
it.
I don't have to
Let's
find
do
out
it.
because I can
I want to have a conversation.
Joel.
I want to have it. So we got to move on to random or entertainment.
All right, so go ahead. What you got?
I saw a really interesting random story that I thought was kind of worth talking about a little bit. On top of two. One, I want both of your perspectives on because I'd like to know how hard aging has hit the people on your timeline and whether or not they fall into the statistic I read about.
How did we get? Okay, how did we get there? How did that even
one
start?
Two of mine though. I don't know where it started.
Because all of a sudden I
just
see
know-
everybody doing some how life is aging has hit me, and you got a picture of you from 2006 and 2018. First of all, let me stop some of y'all right now. You do realize the objective of that was really to me to show that I progressed and look good at my age. That is not the case. Like some of my friends, I was like, bro, you should not have done.
Hey,
Did you
real
look at these
talk,
pictures?
some
Who
of y'all
on your
is
timeline in
ugly.
particular for the people watching on live? Who in
Like, I
particular?
know I ain't that cute. I don't have pictures from 06. I never took pictures. I'm not in my high school yearbook, which is crazy.
Why not?
I don't remember. I missed picture day. I don't know.
They did a makeup. So how'd you miss the makeup too? They used to do a makeup too.
No, we ain't doing all
Actually,
that.
do they still do yearbooks?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about books, but they still take photos.
Yeah, they do like year documentaries or some
But-
something crazy.
This may be the second to most viral campaign ever. They said that there was over 2 million Facebook shares with that hashtag, and Facebook does not have viral campaigns anymore as much as Instagram and YouTube do. So it's actually been kind of a Facebook revival because of this one.
But
thing.
it's because of Facebook. Like all your friends are on Facebook, so you would post it there first, but then you'd also post it on your Instagram.
Which is why I do
more
everything
people
else
would
I do.
like it on your Facebook because the people that are on your Facebook that are not on your Instagram. Like it's the same thing with Twitter. Like I'm not gonna retweet your
Listen,
picture.
I understand people that are listening by radio may not be able to see this, but I feel like it is worth sharing with y'all because y'all are like my second family. And this is not a relative of mine, but this is a person who did this challenge that I have just the utmost respect for because I can't believe the boldness of this person and the confidence of this person. And I one day hope to have such confidence. I'm going to pull it up in 1 second. I'll just say in general, for most of these that I saw, it was very much like a glamour shots versus a professional photo. Like it kind of looked like somebody was an up and coming artist and then now they look like the cover of a parenting magazine.
That's like they started from the bottom and now
Right,
we
that's
here.
pretty much what it looked like. Like an
but
old flip phone.
I guess my
versus a
question,
new
the
phone.
question that nobody ever asks enough is that these days is, where did this start? Who started
Let me
this?
give a little IBNX
Nobody
award
asks about the origin of anything that pops up
to
today.
Keisha Lewis, who was one of my Facebook
Oh
friends.
yeah,
who I give the award for
I
the best
saw
post
that.
I have seen.
I don't.
Hold on, what's going on?
So Keisha Lewis, well, I feel like I can shout out because she's public and she's made this public. If you just look her up, it's very simple. K-I-S-H-A.
Yo, that picture.
I give her my award for best aging challenge. This whole viral campaign, I just give her the best award for it. 26,000 shares.
Okay, disclaimer. When you look at this picture is kind of
Go on,
explicit
girl.
because it's I can't.
Isn't it kind of like
She
she
looked
was
like
almost,
a mom in that picture with that bikini on, and then she
In
looked
that
like
picture?
a mom steps. Yes, she looked like. First of all, that's mom right there. That's
think it-
all type of mom right there.
I think it looks like
not
a
that
found
first one.
Christ, like you and then you when you found Christ later. That's what it looks like.
That's what
Oh,
I'm
now you
saying.
say it
was a-
for real.
You was a
Now you
mom
say it for
already.
real.
You was a mom already, and now
Right.
you just a
My mom
saved
better
mom.
have. If I ever see a picture
If
like
you-
that of my mom with that on,
You
with,
would be in your car immediately on your way to
First of
South
all,
Carolina.
mom, why
Is
you
this
got
before or after I call her while I'm on the road to
mom?
get
Why
to her?
you got that afro?
Where
which
the afro?
afro?
Where,
That's
yeah,
what I'm
which one?
saying. Mom, come on now.
Was that even acceptable back in?
Yes.
No, I don't think that was.
This is
not that.
Yes.
This is 1990. This is not 70. This
that's
is
not-
90. 1990.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think we had gotten that bold yet in 1990 to be
bruh.
out running like
But
that.
it's still people that like that.
Or
right
like
now.
you would say in these streets like this. Like
Nah.
I cannot.
Anyway, that's
I went
that's
to Freaknik,
what's up
bro.
with her.
Again,
I went to
nobody
Freaknik.
asked about the origin of these things. Where did this start? Who
Nobody
started this?
cares.
Somebody thought it was a great idea.
No,
and then
I don't
they
think
took it
anybody
from there.
cares.
We need to start caring because stuff just pops up nowadays and everybody just goes along with it and nobody asks, wait, why are we doing this?
Here's what I will say: it doesn't count if you have a whole bunch of filters in your now picture.
Yo,
That's
it do-
not the point.
It
So I
doesn't
will say
care
that
if
much.
your old picture was a professional picture and then your new
Right.
picture is a more professional picture. It's whack.
right.
I
I
don't
just thought that
have.
is
I don't have a picture of me 10 years ago, so I couldn't do it.
I mean, I can use one of mine from when I first started Facebook, which was what, 2006?
That's the point, is to see how far you've come. Some of it is like mug shots to glamour shots. A lot of these.
I mean,
It cracks me up.
well, what they should did was say you have to use a specific type of picture instead of like stuff like that. Because I mean, if you the same OG, you just took some professional pictures, bro. You still the same OG. Like
Lord.
Okay, what was the second thing?
So second weird news is there was a nude restaurant in Paris that got a lot of publicity. It was called Le Natural in America, but they officially changed the name to Au Natural. It opened in December 2017. It had $2.5 million in seed funding because people thought it would be the next big thing to dine in the nude. So this was a restaurant. There was a fine dining restaurant, seafood, red meat, vegetables, fresh produce, like full service, 200 different labels of wine. I mean, just a very high dining restaurant that they also thought would be a great tourist attraction, and now it's closing its doors. So no more 3-course dinners, no more foie gras, lamb scallops, or butts.
Here is
This
the
restaurant.
question. Who would...
It had $2.5 million in concept funding, so they had no debt. That's how much they thought it was going to take off.
It's probably the people that go to the nude beach. That's what we was talking about
Look,
on break.
on the break, everybody. Okay, here I'm gonna put it all on the table right here. Y'all getting
Don't do
literally
that.
the naked side of
Don't
me.
do that. Don't do that. Keep that to
I
yourself.
have no problem with nude beaches. Can't wait to visit one. At home, I'm a home nudist. I will admit that.
Can you
My
talk
friends know
about that? What is that? What is it? I thought, what is a nudist versus just...
No,
A
you're not.
nudist will go anywhere naked.
Yeah.
A
Okay.
home nudist is when I'm home. I don't like to wear clothes when I'm home.
Can I ask why?
I feel restricted and binding. Now, if there was a law that said I could walk around naked, I can't say that I wouldn't. But I'm a home nudist. I'm not going to do that in public. Now, outside of a nude beach where it's acceptable to do that, I will do that. But a nudist wants to walk around every place naked. That's not me. Like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Can I ask, like, you don't ever worry about people walking past the window, maybe Amazon's at the door?
I don't. First of all, Amazon's not coming to my house, so I'll get stuff delivered. So nice try to slide that in.
Bye.
No. And secondly, my windows. I don't leave my blinds open like that. So it's not. And I don't live in that kind of area. Like I live in a gate. Literally, my apartment has a gate around it. So it's like my apartment's here, and there's a gate around my apartment. So it's kind of hard to see in if I don't open the blinds, which I don't really do. So it's not like people just walk by and see me naked. I don't do that.
you
And
live
I have a
in a
robe.
cave?
I have a robe. In essence, it kind of is.
You're not
And
naked,
I have
bro.
a
You
robe.
just got a robe, and you just enclosed under it.
I mean, my thing is
I
that
am a home nudist. Everybody that know me know I do not like clothes when I'm in my house.
Yeah, I
which
don't
is
wear-
why
I don't
if
get
you're
it.
not
Maybe
in,
you don't get it.
I don't allow. You can't come sit in my bed. Like that's a place for.
what about the couch? So you naked on your couch? Do you have company ever?
No.
I don't.
You have
I
no
can't-
company.
I
I don't
have
can't
company.
remember the last time I sat on my couch.
What do you mean? Where you sit at?
I be in my room all the
No.
time.
No, I don't like
I
that.
just
I
be
don't
in
like
there
laying
with
down.
the door
Y'all was
open.
some vampires, it sounds
But I'm
like.
just saying,
You keep your
like-
blinds closed, no company.
I'm saying you can't be in my room in my bed because that's like a fun area.
I'm
That's
not
where the
even
fun
gonna
go
get
down
into
at.
that. I'm not even
With
gonna
the
get into
couch?
that. To your point,
No,
I just don't get it.
I don't want people at my house because think about what I do over the course of a day. I'm on the air a good fraction of that day. On Mondays, I'm going to a TV station where there are 10 interns and the producer's waiting on me when I get there. My job is events, so I'm constantly interacting with people. When I get home, I don't want people to. I don't even want to talk when I get
I
home.
see.
Because
I
I'm
see.
always, even if they're not directly in my face, I'm talking to the masses.
Yeah, you like
on it.
too
So
close.
I don't. And then when I'm not talking to the
Okay.
masses, I'm talking to people. I work at a family entertainment center.
Right.
So I'm constantly interacting with people, whether I like them or not. So when I get home, don't call me, don't come over.
I
Like
see.
my family can come, but no, I don't.
So when your
like,
Wow, that's
family
too
comes,
much.
what do you do?
well, 3 of us live here.
Okay.
So most of the time, my direct family goes to my sister because her apartment's
see.
bigger than
I
mine.
see. I see.
Or they go to my aunt because she has a big house. They don't really come. They come say hey to me, and usually either come to the job or now they want to hang out here. So I don't. They don't really have to come to my house, and they'll come for a little bit, but they're not staying. Well,
Yeah,
I
they'll
do that
come
my
to
little
my
brother.
house.
And you already said you would never eat at a nude restaurant.
Okay, so back to that point.
These people looking
My question
like they're having a
is,
great time.
even with me being a home nudist or having aspects of nudity that I kind of enjoy, I don't want to sit down in a restaurant and
People
that's foolishness to
look
me.
content.
And be naked while people, because you got to think about it. Not only is the staff seeing you eat naked, the people who are waiting to be seated are watching you be naked. The people you're eating with
There are no
are watching
cameras
you be naked.
allowed. You
know
can't
what I'm
take
saying? But
pictures.
still, while you're waiting to
Then
be
what I'm
seated,
saying,
you're
though-
still looking around
but
the
then what I'm-
restaurant.
then what I'm saying,
People
though-
walking by the windows are looking at me eat naked. It's stupid.
But why?
Ludicrous.
Why?
It's stupid.
So
Like,
why you want to go to a nude beach?
because nobody's watching me, I get to have fun in the sun. I can play
You think
volleyball
nobody-
or run
so
around and get in
nobody's
the water.
Have you ever seen a nude beach?
You said
I've seen a beach. What's the difference between a nude beach and a
That's
beach?
crazy.
So you do know that, like, so in France, the nude beach, they have like bars and certain restaurants that are on the beach.
Yeah, but do they go on those things naked? I don't
the
think so.
cooks aren't naked, but everybody. It's a nude beach.
I understand
If
it,
you're-
but I don't.
If it's on the actual beach, like you can't have any clothes on. Like you
If-
can't go
yeah,
to a
I-
nude beach
I
with
get
clothes
that,
on.
Maybe
but it-
that would have made the difference too.
What?
Because they were saying people were complaining that the fact that the waiters and cooks had clothes kind of killed the atmosphere for them.
That is true.
They said they prefer everyone.
The whole
Everybody
concept
want to
should
be
have been
naked,
naked.
but
That's
I don't.
crazy.
I don't want you cooking with like. Don't do that.
Actually, that is it. How did they get past the sanitary issues of that?
That was
That's
the idea
why
was
they
that
have on
clothed
clothes.
cooks prevented those sanitary issues. That
Yeah,
was
but
the
that's gonna be
idea.
hard to sell because the whole concept should be nudity. Even
It
if the
should.
cooks just
But
had
it's
on
not
like
like
a
that.
clear
It's-
veil.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not like that at the nude beach either, because even the food that is served on at the little cafes on the actual beach, like those people have to have clothes on because it is an issue. I don't want you to like be cooking and it's a little hair. It's a little. I don't
Well,
want to do that.
But okay, but then my other question is, they serve seafood. I think about women, like women who have breasts, and you try to eat a crab crack, and it snaps and it hits or cuts. Like crabs is sharp. That's why I quit eating crabs because I was all bloody from trying to get the meat.
First
women
of all,
who have
why are you trying to break? How are you trying to break the crab?
Tools.
First of all, everybody
Still.
know that you break the crab at the joint. You break the crab, you pull the meat out.
Yeah, but you still got to break it in other places to get the. I want all the meat.
No.
So you still got to break it in other places to get all the meat. Like you can't just snap it there and it all
But
just
that's
pops
why
out.
they give you like the. And then
Sir, I'm
break
talking
it
about like
and-
crab. I'm from the country. I'm talking about like crab cracks in the country. Like we going through these bad boys like it's potato chips, and
I
everybody's
know.
snapping and
I'm-
breaking and
that-
things.
I'm from
So
Florida. We do the
thought
same
of that.
thing.
So the thought of a woman
I
not
don't know
having
why
on
you
a
think it
bra.
would cut somebody's breasts. That's weird.
If it's
I mean, I don't eat meat, but that sounds weird.
That this sounds like
saying.
he had an incident at the house.
That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm just saying, like the
Man,
the,
shout
the
out
thought
to All Natural.
the thought again.
They had 200 different types of wine. I don't even like wine.
That's awesome.
But the fact that you got that much wine,
It's a shame,
and
it's
you
a shame.
that I think that it has to be on the actual beach.
We'll see it again.
You can't-
I think we'll see stuff like this again.
I don't think it's closing. I think they're just moving.
But then on the
a good
flip
idea,
side,
too.
business wise, it proves the point that you can get funded for anything if you find the right sucker. Like somebody.
An idea, the right idea.
But
that
that's what I'm
people
telling
were
you.
willing to
I wouldn't
invest
be
millions
surprised.
into this idea, and nobody thought it was not. This might, hold on, this might not
nobody
be
thought.
the best idea.
I think that it was the same people that go to the nude beach and eat food. Like, well, we want to walk around the city like this.
We don't want to have to hop in the car and pack everything just because we want to be naked.
But I go back to your point. We were on a break, like sitting in a seat where other naked people have sat.
I mean, I'm sure they take
Then the
procedures.
seat's probably cold. I mean, what kind of chairs did they have?
I'm sure they took precautions and procedures. I'm just gonna. I'm agree with that. Like, I hope Au Natural finds another place to open up. But you
I
had
think we
weird
just- yeah,
news.
though.
You had weird news. I think before we're gonna end, or random news.
All right,
Was
so
it
in my random, because I just saw so many random things. So apparently, Dylan Stewart felt like South Dakota and North Dakota should just become one state called Megakota.
Yeah.
He started an online petition, and of course, like I tell people, if you have an idea, there's probably some other people. I was gonna use another word, but I'm not gonna use that word. There are probably other people who actually agree with you or could be swayed to agree with you
Right.
And
to
shout
make
out to
that
those
thing
people.
happen. So apparently, his online petition has actually gained traction. So other people believe that South Dakota and North Dakota should just become Megakota. Now somebody, I can't even
I
get
just
there.
love hearing you say.
Megakota. Somebody actually said, now I was inclined to actually hear the debate about it just being called Dakota. I was like, now that makes more sense. Somebody said they should combine the two and just call it Dakota.
Nah, too basic.
I'm about to tell you the numbers. of
But
how many people
Megakota?
it would be.
Go ahead.
And apparently the ideology is that either South or North Dakota, one of them is majority like uninhabitable land, like tundra or something to that extent.
No, it's not uninhabitable.
Or
it's just
people just don't live there.
it's unmanned. So it's history behind the Dakotas. It's history behind a lot of those states that are in the middle. With most of the American Indians used to live on that land, which is why there isn't a lot of people. Like North Dakota is, what's this population talking about? Some 770,000. South Dakota is 869,000. Wyoming 579,000. Like we talking about whole states. New York got 14 million people,
Right.
and you talking about 3 states that are less than 1 million people apiece.
Yeah.
Like
They're
way
rural.
less than 1 million people apiece. So when you look at that land and then you fly over that land and you like, yo, it's mad grass down there. Who cut that? Then you realize like, oh no, it's people that live there. They probably own so much of the land that it doesn't matter. And then you argue like, okay, I'm black. Like, why go to North Dakota or South Dakota? And then you look at the
Facts.
numbers. You look at the numbers. 10% of their population that are black people, all of them are on a sports team. They go to one of the colleges and they play sports.
That
I'm not going to North or South Dakota for any reason ever.
Yeah.
But there is so much land. Like for you to have that much land, you talking about like 60% of a whole state that is just land.
Yeah, I believe it. Oregon's very similar. I think.
60%.
But here's what I will say. Politically, I don't see what the big difference would be, like, per se. Like, I think between the 2 states, Trump definitely had the majority between them. I wasn't like, I think Hillary got over a quarter, but 86% white between those 2 states. Like, there's just not, I think evangelical Christian is the majority religion. So usually when people talk about stuff like this and they're really serious about it, there's like a political advantage, like redistricting, which we talk about a lot.
Yeah,
like
or gerrymandering.
trying to redraw the lines and shift the political. But in this case, I really don't think it would make a difference other than helping people, Dakotans perhaps, feel very united.
Okay, let me
I think
also
that's
say,
weird.
I
let's
think
also
it's
say
a-
this is
it's
not
a
like
reason.
the government of these 2 states is
Right.
not doing this.
Right.
This is a random guy who started a petition because he was sitting around drinking Kool-Aid and figured he had too much free time. He was like, you know what? Oh, he might have been high. You know what? I feel like
that's what I'm
South
saying.
Dakota
It's
and
not the
North
first
Dakota
time.
should be Megakota.
It's not the first time. That name is stupid, but it's not the first time.
Megakota.
It's not the first time that has come up because the states, you assume that these are like very large states. It's not. It's not a very large state. It just take you a long. If you're talking about a 4-hour trip, a 3.5 to 4 hour trip to drive through 2 states, like I'm here, 4 hours later, I'm in a whole nother state. I'm over there. I already been through. And then you talking about like certain states like Georgia, where it take 3 hours to get from a city to a city, or in Alabama, or like Mobile to Birmingham, or Tuscaloosa to Birmingham, or Tuscaloosa to Mobile, or going from Harvey to in Louisiana, from Harvey to New Orleans, like certain, or going from Houston to Dallas, or from Dallas to Austin. You talking about like 2-hour trips just that quick. And you talking about getting through a whole state like that. It'll make sense. And nobody's ever argued against it. It just hasn't happened. You got to get you have to get the country to get behind that.
Yeah.
Not just those 2, because it'll make sense for those 2 states. But how much money can be made for the people that make the money?
All right, so on that note, again, this is not their government. These are not these state governments. This is just a random guy who came up with
I don't
it.
think
So-
he random.
Well, he
I don't-
probably isn't.
I don't think you
Everything
can
is
get that
calculated
many.
these days.
I don't think you can get that many people to be around the country talking about making coda.
Well, I mean, again, if they're all hot. Anyway, so we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I have one more really big issue. So for all my teachers or people that work in education, you might want to tune in because I want to have this discussion. So stick around the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
Wake up, going there.
Down.
How you doing, Miss Johnson? How you doing, baby? Fat old ass. Huh? Oh my gosh. Why would you say that? I got a son. I want that. I got a son, Charlie. I know you got a son. Listen.
I need me a sugar mama, old lady, foxy mama, sophisticated. Sugar mama, old lady, foxy mama, sophisticated. Old age don't mean nothing to me. Wise man said age ain't nothing but a number.
Why would you say that?
Young girl, she don't give me jokes, someone references. Old lady, she ain't with the tech or the messages. Young girl, love dance getting sort of decadent. Old lady, tied up, she ain't even stressing kids. You can cook me a plate after we make back in the day. I ain't your man. You don't know your body yet. You don't know your body yet. I need me a sugar mama, old lady, foxy mama, sophisticated. Sugar mama, old lady, foxy mama, sophisticated. Old age don't mean nothing to me. Wise man said age
age ain't nothing but a number.
Let me holler at you. Little baby, little heart, I break it. I'm chasing me a side, not living. She paying for the wine, dine, ain't worry for my time. Might even deny my staying overnight. I'm seeing I'm just fly by. I take what she supply, my favorite. Anytime I see my line start ringing, for some part-time loving from the heart, I bring it. Young girl, she ain't even got that arch in her bag. Treat her special cause she know how to act. Young girl, never knew in an ocean so blue. She just here for the view. When I need me a sugar mama, oh lady, foxy mama, sophisticated. Sugar mama, oh lady, foxy mama, sophisticated. All days don't mean nothing to me.
Are you an entrepreneur, high-profile influencer, or creative that wants to level up in your business? If you are ready to elevate mentally, stand out visually, and dominate digitally, the Brand Doctor has the remedy. As a highly sought-after mindset coach and brand strategist, she helps clients globally to hit the ground running. Contact www.moebrandstudio.com or email getbranded.
All right, everybody, we are back on this Monday edition of the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo Rice, and my correspondent,
Double-R.
And Simone Cherie.
All right, so one segue. All right, so everybody knows that last year, to me, and it could be because everything was it's more publicized, so it may not be that big of a deal, but it kind of was to me. So last year, we saw a lot of companies get hit with bankruptcy and have to go under, from Sears, who actually may be getting a buyout. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I really want to see them do well. To David's Bridal almost going under. To just so many companies going under. All right, so we're back with Toys R Us again. So apparently, Toys R Us is now, their buildings are now being brought out by this quirky company called Ollie's, and apparently they have semi-lovely stores. So they're buying all the Toys R Us's, because Toys R Us used to be housed in very big stores. So apparently Ollie's is buying out all of Toys R Us's stores to get that footing, because Toys R Us was based in good places, good states. So Ollie's is actually buying all their places to actually get into those states. Okay. And they sell everything from space heaters to lawn chairs.
Do you have to buy toys on a regular basis?
Not really, because the kids don't really play with toys like that.
As I was trying to figure out how people really go about this.
What, buying toys?
Yeah.
Well,
because Walmart is basically moving everything online. They prepared to not only have robots cleaning their floors, but to start selling everything online. Like they want 2019, 2020 to be the year where they transition a lot of their staff. They're hiring for people who are like engineers and coders. I think they have like over 50,000 job listings now that are going to be high-tech jobs because that's how they're moving. I'm wondering,
how does that look, though? A world where there's artificial intelligence doing pretty much everything. How does that work for humans?
Yo, you ain't seen that airport in China?
No.
Well, you need people to do it, though. Like, especially now, like, you need people to do it for right now. So they're just hiring different skilled labor right now.
I swear, every day we get closer and closer to this Daystar thing. I keep going back to Terminator and this whole Daystar thing with artificial intelligence. Every day we get closer to it. I just don't understand alleviating the jobs that humans do to give to computers. What's the gain outside of for the companies?
Well, the problem with all this stuff is that people want life to be easier. They don't want to do the work, but they also want to get paid for doing the work. Well, if you don't actually do a job that someone actually has to do, you're easily expendable. Like, technically, I don't need you to make those burgers or salt those fries.
But the good thing is it's opening up opportunities for higher skilled labor, though.
Yeah.
Like they do want engineers to help build the technology. Like they do want people to help to maintain the technology.
Yeah, but once you build it,
these kids ain't that smart. They twerking on the ground.
It's not about who. It's just about the fact that there are more jobs being created.
Yeah, they create.
Yeah,
but who gonna fill them?
Yeah, I was about to say if there's a shortage of engineers and stuff, like,
well, we need to fix that shortage.
When kids only want to twerk and like
stop generalizing these kids. All these kids are not twerking
and trap or like get face tats. If that's all you want to do, I doubt you're gonna be like an engineer.
But and also engineers, you have to like a lot of engineers have to like a lot of the subjects that African minority kids are just not. They're not the intro. I don't like math. I don't like science. It would have never been a field I want to get into.
But you would assume that minority kids don't like math or science. But when you look at the numbers,
it can't paint that different of a picture.
The programs
Yeah,
are the
it
program. There are
does.
more and more programs to get people interested in it because it's
Yeah,
not
to get them
just a
interested in
minority
it, but
thing.
it's not a natural thing we flock to.
And
We
you don't
naturally
have
flock
to have a
that.
degree to hold these types of jobs anymore. Like they teach classes to do these sorts of things all the time, and some of these companies pay for it. Like especially the high tech ones, Google and Facebook, etc. They will pay you to get the training that you need and
Yeah,
just
but
make
those
sure that you
classes are
get
not
it.
That's
easy
also
classes.
rare too. That's a rare moment in time. The problem is like, especially with companies like Google, when Google has an office in every single state, Google has an office. At least that's what it looked like. Like when you drive in Louisiana and you like right around the corner from like their dome, and then you see a building that say Google, like that might have just been like a sign, but like who just put up a Google sign for no reason?
You can code in 30 days if you really want to. It's not that difficult to learn how to code. There's lots of different languages to learn. It's just something you have to, it's a skill you have to apply. And it's becoming increasingly mainstream. Like it's becoming a thing that I think will be in colleges very soon, will be in high schools very soon. But in the interim, it can be done. Like
I
it's a
doubt
skill
it.
set you can get.
I love
You
it,
can,
but
try
again,
it.
You wanna
yeah,
know
but
I
when
doubt
you
it?
say
People do it all the
this-
time.
Yeah, but when you say this, what kind of schools and what demographic?
No,
of
it's
these
not
schools?
schools.
I
It's
doubt
just you
it.
can learn. You can learn on Udemy. You can learn on CoreX. You can learn on edX.
But again,
It's free.
it's
And
about
some of the best
people-
ones are like $40 if you really want a certificate.
But
saying
again,
that
it's
I
you've
don't
about
done it.
people
think-
having an interest in that, though.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
don't have to have
I
an
don't.
interest.
I don't.
Yes, you do
think-
You have
to
to
take it,
have
and
a
you can
motivation.
pass.
You have to have a motivation. not
teaching-
You
an
gotta have
interest.
some kind of interest.
They want to teach kids how to code when they don't even have curriculum in high school to teach kids how to do their taxes. Most kids don't know how to write a check. Most kids don't know how to pay a light bill. Why
can't
am I
skip
But you
the
can't pay a light
fundamentals.
bill if you don't have any money and you need a job for money, which means you probably need to learn how to code. Because
Yeah, but if
that's
I
gonna
give
be
you
necessary.
money
why
and
am I
you don't know how to
teaching?
manage
Why
it.
am I teaching you how to code and then you get all the money and you don't do your taxes?
Or know how to.
That's
how to
not,
manage
the,
it.
pro-
I
that's
went
not
to
the
a school
problem
where,
plaguing
like-
these communities you're talking about. Like people are filthy rich and they're not paying their taxes. That's not the problem that people are having. People are having a problem finding employment, and increasingly nobody wants to pay you. And then on this same scale, people want more and more money to do jobs that are menial and that don't have a lot of value for the company. But you don't want to increase your skill set so you can provide more value to the company, and you can increase your skill set for free. So then you end up
But there's no interest.
looking like the type of person that people talk about.
It's no interest.
Yeah, but I don't
for-
wanna- I don't
for
wanna-
our communities, there is no interest in coding.
Not many.
Yeah, I can't
We've
even.
Interest?
never-
What are you talking about interest for? There was no interest in working on the railroads 100 years ago. There was no interest
Yeah, but
in
they had
Until
in-
they told
in
you
had
picking
options.
cotton 300 years ago. Nobody was interested in doing any of
But
that.
those weren't jobs. They were being
So you
forced
got-
to do it. Those were not
They were
jobs.
jobs.
We're talking about
They were
jobs.
jobs.
No,
No,
we're
those
talking
were,
about
they were forced to
paid
pick cotton, man.
Well, this
job.
is paid, and you don't want to do it, and it's free.
Well,
so
but
No,
people
coding, learning how to code could be free.
It
Coding,
is.
we're talking about kids that's like, no, I could just go make $1,500 by posting on Instagram. Code for what?
But increasingly you can't, though, because it's getting harder and harder. But it's not even kids. It's also adults. It's also people who are 30 or 40. What if you're 40, 50, you find yourself out of work? You can't necessarily go back to work doing what you were
Tell
doing
me-
before because
tell
that
me-
job
but
may
if
be
the
burned
American
out.
Tell me a
dream.
40-year-old person that you know that can go learn the code right now and get a job
40
right
is
now.
not ancient.
Well, it's not about
You
being
can learn
anxious, but
skills at 40.
You can learn
How
skills,
do you-
but that don't
Simone?
mean
I
that
said
these
some of these are
companies-
30-day classes. 30 days, not a year, not 2 years, not
But
4
again,
years. 30
if the
days.
American
I don't
dream-
think that they're going to be high. They're looking
I
to
think-
hire kids.
I think they're going to be unemployed. And quite frankly, a lot of these kids are soft and incompetent. So
They are.
there are a lot of employers who are not interested, and maybe they don't want an 80-year-old, but they don't want an 18-year-old either.
I
'Cause
think they do.
A lot of times there's equal deficiency. A lot of times they're looking for somebody who's 30 or 40 and can at least show up on time
But I think
and learn a skill.
I think they're willing
and
to
before
hire
you're even
young.
worried about who's going to hire you, be hireable. You're having a backwards conversation. You're having a backwards conversation about where am I going to store all my food. Go gather it first before you're complaining about whether or not you have any place to
Yeah,
keep
but if
it.
I-
Go
I-
do the work first.
The reason why I think they're willing to hire kids is because you can pay kids whatever. It don't matter.
Yeah, you can.
Kids are that's the thing that going back to minimum wage. Kids aren't the ones that's complaining about minimum wage. People that work these jobs for a very long periods of time, like these are careers, are the ones that are complaining about minimum wage. These kids not complaining, but my check be
Exactly.
$400 a week,
Exactly.
boy. I'm good, and I work overtime. $400 a week is not a lot of money, little boy. Stop.
But for a teenager,
But for a teenager,
yeah.
I'm good with that. They're not the ones that are complaining. So if Google can go hire a whole bunch of 16 and 17-year-old kids, which they've been doing lately, hiring them straight out of high school, hey, come in. We heard you're good on social media. So now you see this influx on Instagram of like commercials with Google, and these commercials on Instagram. These are kids that are building these marketing promo blasts on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. They're kids. These aren't adults.
Yeah.
Adults don't really know what these kids look at, but kids know. So when you start seeing like you remember when the drone was super popular, the person that did the drone commercial for Brookstone was an 18-year-old kid that worked at Brookstone. That wasn't somebody that was like older. No, I just know, like, I know how I like to see drones. I want to see the drone upside down. It got a camera on the top. Why would I need that? Well, maybe if I flip my drone upside down so you can see what my camera doing that's what these kids are doing. They're not hiring adults. So you hear more adults complaining about jobs than you do kids, because the kid isn't walking in the door like, I deserve to be paid this.
Yeah, no, I think there's something to be said about that last part, but they are hiring adults. Google's average hiring age is 30. It's not in the 20s. It's not even in the teens. It's 30. And there's a big, and Google's like a huge company, so let's not act like there's everybody in lots of different industries can benefit from technology. So it's not just that Google's the only person who does hire tech.
But that's what I'm saying. Let's also not act like they hiring thousands of people a year.
They hire a lot of people, actually. They're
not thousands.
Hiring, increasingly hiring.
Not thousands.
Who is hiring thousands?
Amazon.
Okay, well, boom. Amazon needs technology too.
No, Amazon need people to work in these warehouses.
Yeah.
But they're phasing out a lot of those warehouses for technology. They're replacing a lot of the people who are working in the warehouses.
Not that warehouse in Camp Creek. But them folks talking about they hiring 1,500 people.
Now they need lots of drivers. They need more and more people to deliver. Yeah, but you got to remember,
it's the drivers, and they still got to deliver. A robot's not going to be driving around delivering your packages.
Not yet, because we don't have self-driving cars.
Oh, yeah, they do.
My point is...
somebody still got to get out.
They do. They do. We just can't afford them. They do.
Somebody still has to get out the car and put that package at your door.
No, they don't.
Do? Throw it?
Leave it in the driveway or leave it on the sidewalk. The point is, instead of fighting for what little jobs are left with little skill, increase your skill. Instead of fighting to keep the warehouses open and fighting to keep the...
But if the American dream is for me to do what I love and make money doing it, I don't want to have to go get a job, because it's the same ideology you talking about picking cotton. They did it because they didn't have a choice. Well, now I have a choice. And if the American dream says I should be able to do what I do and love what I do and make money doing it, why do I have to go learn how to do coding just to survive?
Because you're confusing a dream with a right. A dream is a dream for a reason, because it's a hope. It's a wish.
What is the right?
The right is that you get a jury of your peers to represent you. You cannot be searched unlawfully without a warrant.
But we talking about jobs.
No, we're talking about rights. I'm talking about your rights.
We ain't talking about jobs.
You have a right to free speech, religion, protest, peaceful assembly.
Barely.
These are your rights. Peaceful assembly. These are your rights.
Barely.
Everything else is good luck. Good luck. Pursuit of happiness.
So you don't.
That's what it is.
This is my question to you.
That's what it is.
So you
and
don't
it's
feel
free to learn.
I'm gonna make you go work for a nonprofit, because I
work for a nonprofit.
And sometimes your viewpoint scares me.
I'm a
because like there's no consideration for
job.
people who end up in spots in life that they just can't get out of.
And part of this that's so frustrating is that I do work for a lot of nonprofits, and I actually work with them to help them to fix their operations, because a lot of times they are serving tens of thousands of homeless people on paper and pens. That's not going to work, sweetheart. You need software, you need technology, you need training, you need tools. So you got to learn how to get a little how to get with it. Like, you can't keep your operations ancient and expect to do a great job.
I would agree with that.
The question becomes, how many people, like with the growth of technology, how many people do you think you can hire to create the tech when it's already there? Why won't they just create tech that can create tech? Terminator. I'm going to create something that could create the tech for me, and it'll evolve itself. Like, I don't need to hire you to code when there's programs that code. I'll just hire somebody.
That's AI. That's artificial intelligence.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't need to hire you to do something that I've already created artificial intelligence to do.
But here's the thing. Even though my computer runs on its own, and it tells me when it needs checkups and updates, it still had to be created by someone, and it's going to need to be updated by someone as things change. Like, there is never a time in which things aren't going to need to be improved. Even if you have a A1 operation, there are people hired to improve things.
But that's what I'm saying. Those people aren't
but they become
fired.
less and less, though, because if it becomes self-evolving, which is what happens in Terminator, it becomes self-evolving, and it realizes, as it keeps running this program day to day to day, it's like, I'm missing this, I'm missing this.
I feel that,
but I also
an extreme conversation.
I don't
know. Actually, we're not even that far from this.
Extreme conversation.
But what I'm saying, I don't think that the people that create those people aren't getting fired. So why am I hiring new people? To do what?
Are you kidding me? They need way more people. They need engineers. They need people who are this says software maintenance, software product manager. They need people to implement these in other countries.
Okay,
no,
so
that's just saying, we need help.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So telling people that
Just
Temporary
like
help.
McDonald's needs help.
Temporary seasonal help. That's in essence
It's not
seasonal
these are
help.
full-time
no,
jobs with great
because in
benefits.
tech, a lot of people don't get fired in tech. You get in there, like tech is what we assume that government jobs are. Job security. You get in there, if you've trained in the last 10 years to code, to be an engineer, to be a software developer, to build tempered glass, if you were trained to do that in the last 10 years, you have job security. Because you're always gonna need those things. You're always gonna need to do that. The Genius Bar that can fix your iPhone screen in 20 minutes. Always. If you got an iPhone. But then you have somebody like Samsung. If you break your screen on Samsung, you just gotta get a new phone. Because your whole phone glass. The glass is your phone. So now I don't need as many people to fix the iPhone screen. Now I just got more people to make the phone.
So it's the ideology.
So the
as
same amount of
technology gets
people that
better.
make the
Phones
phone.
continue to update with more and more features, more and more benefits. People want their phones to link to more and more different devices, like their cars and their TVs.
But to
and-
go to his
and their
point though,
refrigerators
if my phone is only all glass and there's somebody who put this together, I'm not gonna need 50 people to do that because you're gonna send it back to me. You're not sending it to different
No,
people.
they
You're
just gonna
sending
send
it
you a
back to
new
me.
phone.
Oh, that too.
Okay, but who does that though? Who has to take care of that? Like
The
they have
same
to file
person that did
paperwork,
it
file
before.
claim work.
Exactly,
No,
so you don't have to get anybody new.
That's what we call a support team. And they need people to fill the support team.
But that
For
support
one
team
thing,
we
they
get-
need to beat you down and make sure that you didn't break it yourself. And I mean, there's people who still have to do these jobs. It's just a higher skilled job, period.
You called the
Higher
Shurion
skilled
lately?
jobs. What?
You called the Shurion lately?
Yeah.
When you call the Shurion, like they give you the option. And it's not the first option to speak to somebody.
No, it's not.
You
It's
can
coming
do
harder.
it like real quick. They have an app. Download the Shurion
There you
app.
go.
Yo, my screen don't work. How am I download your app? Well, I feel bad for you. You better go to the App Store. It's $150. Get a whole new phone. They're not going to give you the same phone. They're going to give you a whole new phone. And then give your phone back to Apple. And then Apple's going to fix your phone and then sell your phone as a new
Yeah,
phone.
but who's gonna fix it? Mechanics who work at
The same
This is my
dude.
point. Even if you're a mechanic right now, say you're an auto mechanic, industries evolve. You're an auto mechanic. We're moving to self-driving cars. That's the next skill set. Is okay. Well, not just cars in which there's a carburetor or engine or all these manual things. I need to learn how to work on self-driving cars. If you are in the nonprofit sector now,
No. But let's stay there. Let's stay with the car thing.
Okay.
They're
So
not
if they're-
hiring new mechanics.
Exactly. So
Like,
it's not
if this
evolve
is-
your own skill. Evolve your
Yeah, but if
skill.
I'm 50,
What do
if
you
I've been
mean?
fixing cars
But-
for 50,
but
60 years, and now you tell me I have to go to school to learn how to work with sensors and stuff.
Well,
I'm
50, 60
and
years, you may
old.
not have to because how much more?
Your
could you
car
be
going to build
working?
itself. And if your car breaks
Just
down,
like he
it's
said,
over
people
with.
living longer. I gotta do something. I'm living longer now. I'm not dying at 70. I'm
So
dying at
then you have
105.
plenty of time to make the investment. I mean, it's one or the other. It's one or the other. Either you
Ma'am.
don't have time or you do have time. Like,
You do
what
realize
is
the
it?
older you get, the
No.
harder it is to acquire a new skill set. The
Yeah,
older you get.
absolutely.
I think
it's
that
not impossible.
it
And this is
doesn't-
not the population of people that I'm hearing the complaints about. The population of people hearing the complaints about are people who can't find any type of a job.
And that's
da,
their
da, da.
fault. Like, I don't
So
think
who?
that's a
What
training
age group are you
thing.
talking about?
I just think, like, if you were cool with working the little stupid job that you've been working the whole time, and every day you went to work, you said you hated your job, and then you lost the job that you hated, and now you complain about not being able to find a job that you also gonna hate, that's your fault. I can't train you for that. I can train you to get another job, and you can get that job and hate that job and get
And
fired from
I
that job and
totally
quit
agree.
that job too. Why even try to waste the time? There are people that actually are interested in coding, actually interested in tech,
But
actually
they're no
interested.
smarter than anyone else. Your interests do not change. You don't people. Everything that we are
But that's not
using
my argument.
was not created by geniuses.
My
I'm just
argument,
saying.
my argument isn't that they're smarter.
No.
But interest
Makes a difference.
It means they can get there earlier, but the second
No,
you
but
hear about it,
if you have an
the
interest, it
second
kind of
you hear
fills the
about
gap.
it,
Because it's
no.
like, okay, well, I may not be great at this, but I really want to do it. So I'm going to learn how to do it.
or you could do it and hate it, and at least your bills will be paid because you'll be in a high skilled job instead
Who
of.
wants to live a life like that, though?
There's
Well,
a lot of
well,
people
well,
that
well,
live
well,
like that. But
They're
when
miserable.
But
Those
that's
are the
what I'm
same ones
saying.
jumping off
Those-
buildings.
broke.
Those are
Those-
the same ones jumping off buildings.
Those people
It's just-
also
it's not-
don't have the security of that job. You think that the people, when you hate your job, you don't think that nobody see that? Everybody see
Here's
it.
the truth, though.
So
There's
why
no
keep
such
you?
thing as security. There's no such thing as that's a false notion. Clearly, even the government jobs are not. There is no security. So misery is a choice. If you make that choice, you can do that. But if you're going to hate everything anyway, then you might as well make some money. And the fact that there's too many ways to learn how to code for free, I refuse. I don't know how the statistics in front of me. I wish I did for people who have a smartphone because I know that most homeless people have smartphones. I know that. They've released that statistic before. I want to know how many people have smart devices, have Netflix, have Hulu. Because if you can download an app, if you can figure out the most basic things, there are tech jobs, there is coding you can learn.
But that's the same thing
even
with
if it's just like
investing.
HTML, there are simple programming languages you can learn.
That's just like when investing. Like investing isn't that difficult. It's 146 different apps right now that have the highest turnover. Like 146 isn't that much when you talk about 150,000 apps for investing. 146 of them have very high turnover rates for your investment. So like Acorns is like in the top 5 in the country if you're talking about investing your money. And then you got like Stash and there's a couple others. Like I got all of them. It's not that hard. It ain't that is difficult to do.
People
it's
don't
that if I'm not interested.
I'm sorry, it still goes back to interest for me. And I don't see why the
then
make
I
me
won't
learn how to
invest.
code
You
to make a living.
But like I said, people are cool with being broke. They
Right.
cool with that.
Right.
So
And
if you
I'm cool with that.
if you're cool with,
But we're
being
not talking about
broke-
those idiots. We're not talking about those. I don't say.
No.
But look,
we're not
that's
talking
what
about
I'm
those
saying. If
people.
you're talking about a majority of the population that complain about their job or doesn't have a job and also doesn't have the skill to get a new job, and then you turn around on your side and say, well, if they get a new job, they should get $15 an hour. How? Why? For what?
How we get back to minimum wage?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, this is what I'm saying. If I'm going to pay you to do a job, I want to pay you to actually do the job and know how to do the job. Be prepared to do the job. I shouldn't hire you to do a job where you have to be patient if you are not patient. It don't make sense. I'm not going to hire the dude that's never trained to code. No, go get the training. I'll even pay for the training because companies do that. But if I pay for the training, I'm going to pay you for what you learned. So if you didn't do well in the training, but we need somebody, you'll get the job. But I can hire Simone at $20. Y'all train together. But she might have passed with flying colors and you might have got a passing grade. That's not the same. So she might get 20 and you might get 14. You gonna complain? No, because now you getting $14 and your last job was $10. She was getting $18. She only got a $2 raise. I've been working here the longest. I ain't getting no raise yet. But you got hired in that minimum wage.
Okay, fine. So here's the impasse, because I'm sick of y'all on this minimum wage. Here's the impasse.
It's not about minimum wage.
Well,
it's
I'm
just
saying,
about,
we keep coming back to this.
skill.
Speaking of, right?
I'm just saying.
Georgia Tech, amen.
When you're talking
How much
about,
is it?
When you're talking about skill,
Yeah, exactly.
when you're talking about skill, like there's talent and then there's skill. Everybody born with talent. That don't make it a skill.
Right.
You ain't. It's a bunch of girls that can sing, but you can't sing. You know what I'm
Fine,
saying?
I'll
It's a
agree
bunch of
with that,
people that
fine.
can sing, but then they notes be flat sometimes. And then there are people that are trained to pick out those flat notes and then correct them. Yo, let me throw a little melodyne on that. Let me throw a little auto-tune on that real quick. Let me get you right real quick. And then there's other people, they never had to do that because even their flat notes sound good. So like people complain about, I heard a chick talk about Anita Baker one time.
Wait a minute.
And Tori Kelly.
What about Tori
You're
Kelly?
talking
Kelly can
very,
scratch. Yes, but she
very
can scratch.
talented singers that sing flat notes well.
I don't
my
want to call
point.
those flats.
That's
They
my
just-
point.
No, flat
Flats.
note. It's being able to flip a flat note is very, very difficult to do. But it's certain people that when they sing them, you can't tell.
Some people have a nice tone. It's just a great tone.
Like Anita Baker, the tone that she sings at, if a note is flat, you never know because that's also her speaking tone. So the same tone that she's speaking is what she's singing at. Like that's a skill in itself. Being able to make your voice sound the same no matter where you go. Tori Kelly has that. It's a few people that have it. But that's a skill. Everybody doesn't train for skill. They train for money. Like you train like, oh, I'm gonna get in the job and learn a talent because I'm talentless. I come in here, no experience. My resume ain't that far, but I need the money. Cool. I'm gonna hire you. I'm gonna give you this little bit of money because I know you need it. That's my argument with minimum wage. People are not getting the money for skill. They're getting the money and they're accepting whatever the lowest is because they know they don't have the experience. You haven't trained well. You haven't worked anywhere that's accredited for me to even take you serious. I can't hire you or promote you or give you $15. I can't give you manager money as a fry cook. Why would I do that? If my manager right now makes $15, why am I hiring a new fry cook at $15? You were a manager. You were a manager. If you were still a manager right now, you would be pissed if the fry cook got hired at $15.
No, I'm gonna be mad if you don't raise my pay because
They
you gonna
won't,
raise
and they
mine.
won't.
But why would I do that?
Because you're going to try to keep me because I'm the manager. You can get rid of
It
fry
don't-
cook.
but it don't matter. There's no minimum wage for managers.
Yeah, but I don't care.
Here's the thing. Here's what I just want to say as a quick takeaway because I know we're about to run out of time. Even if you don't want to download one of the apps I already recommended, which I do recommend, which is edX and Coursera and Udemy, I just looked this up and there are so many different hits for this right now. If you want to structure, like I think Ricardo tends to like structure. So, or if you're a person who wants an in-person environment and you don't want to just be left to your own devices to download an app and trust that God and yourself can figure it out, then fine.
You can stop throwing shade. You can stop throwing shade.
appacademy.com is free.
Okay.
Launchcode.org is also free. Some of these are, like I said, are structured so you can go in person, you can go online. If you go in person, it will cost, but you will not have to pay anything if you do not get a job. That's the first thing. Second thing is this other one is $1,000 and it's 16 weeks, but it'll give you a little piece of paper if that makes you feel better. Whatever you want to do, you can learn it. That's all I'm gonna say.
You becoming the queen of shade.
Make America great.
I just want to make that. I just
No,
Make America
really,
great.
no. She just stating the fact. If you want, if all you want to do is get the skill to get the money, get the skill. Don't expect to just get the money because it don't work like that.
Okay, I don't have time for y'all changes. All right, so on Friday, we have Dr. Dana Rickman who will be here to talk about education policy, which should be really interesting because we talk about all the symptoms, but now we want to talk about the root. What does legislation say about education and educating our kids? So all my educators, you definitely want to tune in on Friday on this evening at 3:30. I'm getting from behind the desk on my TV show, so I actually will be at the blackboard, actually getting into some things. So you definitely want to tune into that. The Now Network, the Leadership Blend TV version at 3:30. Check your local listings for channels and different channels, or stream it on the nownetwork.org. And again, we'll see you on Friday, same time, same place, on the Leadership Blend with your host, Ricardo D. Rice.
IBNX Radio.